How's everyone doing? Welcome. Welcome back. We didn't have a live stream last Sunday, unfortunately. Although I do try to do them now every Sunday, even though originally it wasn't supposed to be like that. Um, we've still got plenty of topics that we've never covered before, including today's lesson is going to be a topic I've never taught before as a separate video. Now it's in my book. One of my books has it. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty common. And this lesson we're going to be getting today is it's actually going to be 3 forms, 2 separate forms, and then a shortened version of the form. So if you've heard this form before, 네가 없다, don't worry. Even if you know that part of it, we're going to be going like completely in depth because there are 3 versions of it. And you might already know those. If you're like intermediate level, you might know all 3 of these. But if you've only learned one of them or you've never seen it before, then this will be a perfect lesson. But before we get started, we've got like 30 minutes. We can kill about 30 minutes before we get started. We'll start right at the top of the hour with the lesson. In the meantime, welcome, Cosma, first in line to get in the chat. Keith, Gummy Girl. Kind of a cool name, actually. Makes me think of gummy bears. Gummy bears are good. But personally, I'm more of a gummy worm kind of person. Gummy bears are good, but sometimes like if they're like nice and fresh and they're still kind of like squishy, they're good. But then gummy bears have this thing where like if you leave them for just like a month, like not even that long, they're just a month or 2 in the bag, sealed. They start getting like hard and a little bit more chewy, right? So it's more like you're chewing like soft, like rubber kind of. I don't know. But if you get them really fresh, yeah, gummy bears are good. Gummy worms, I feel, fix that problem. They use a different formula to make gummy worms for whatever reason. Maybe it's just because they're bigger. Anyway, they stay like chewier longer, I feel. Especially sour gummy worms. Sour gummy worms are the best. Those are one of my favorite. Welcome, as well as Djongsby, Cat Memes, Afzal, and Kepandrew, Jelmer. Welcome. He did a video in Nepal, says someone. Oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, watching my video from Nepal. No, someday I would like to visit Nepal. I had a funny thing is I knew like nothing about Nepal. In college, one of my roommates was a guy from Nepal. Super cool guy, super nice. But before I met him, the only thing I knew about Nepal was I believe that's supposed to be the location in the introduction to Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think Miriam is in Nepal, right? So that's the only thing I knew about it, was that if you go to Nepal, you can get attacked by the German military and they try to steal your pendant and they did drinking games. And that's all I knew about Nepal for a long time. Chose the username in high school because I love sour gummy worm. Okay, I think that's a good middle ground between you and I. I'm more for the sour gummy worms. You're gummy girl. So if we meet in the middle, it's going to be a sour gummy bear. Which, thinking about it, I don't think I've ever had a sour gummy bear before. It's interesting. I don't think I've had one before. Probably, I'm sure it tastes good. Now I have the gummy bear theme song in my head. I have a different song playing in my head when I think of gummy bears. I'm so happy because I'm a gummy bear. Something like that. Mount Everest. That's right. No, Mount Everest is also in Nepal. I apologize, but I didn't know that. I'm talking about things I knew prior to meeting this friend. Yeah, I guess I'd call him a friend. He was nice. We didn't really hang out at all, but he was nice. Making the time for food chat with Billy. Gummy bears, yes. Lord Buddha. Better known as Cabbage Patch Kids. Cat Memes asks, ever tried Swedish candy? I only know Swedish fish, which are okay, but those also suffer from the same thing as gummy bears, that if they are, like a few months old, they get really hard. And part of the, like, Swedish fish are already kind of hard. But if they get any harder than that, they're just not good. I'm not a huge fan of Swedish Fish either, but I haven't tried any other Swedish candy. Ah, you mean Sour Patch. Okay. Yeah, I like Sour Patch Kids. Those are it's basically sandpaper, flavored sandpaper. But I like them. They're one of my favorite snacks to eat during a movie. Especially I feel like a bad movie. Like you can go to the movie theater. I mean, I just like going to the movie theater. But if you go to a movie theater and you see a bad movie where you're like, this isn't that good, but you've got a good snack. You got like a big tub of popcorn and you have like a nice snack, like maybe a pack of, Sour Patch Kids. Junior Mints are another one that I like. You just have like some good snacks. And it doesn't really matter that the movie's bad. You're just kind of like relaxing and eating snacks. I think it can make a bad movie good. And a good movie where you're not even eating them. You're like stuffing them in your mouth at the very beginning just so you could get rid of them. Yeah, Sour Patch Kids are good. It went kind of viral. Oh, really? I hadn't heard of it, or maybe I did, but nothing comes to mind. Kitty Mommy says, my husband, Hammond, what the heck is a Hammond? Has his degree in Japanese. I played him, you speaking Japanese. I apologize. He had to hear that. Like, my level of understanding Japanese is way above my speaking level because I had done about 3 years of self-study before I even touched Korean. Almost 3 years. And that was like rereading the same books. I had the book called Ultimate Japanese, which I loved. Nowadays, I'm sure there's better options, but at the time back in 2003, that was like it was so good. I read that entire book. It's like thick. Really, it's like thin pages and thick book. I read that cover to cover, taking notes 3 full times. And it taught a lot. And anyway, I did that. And then I combined that with a few other books I had. Like I had a dialect book. I had a couple kanji books. So I did it like a ton. But, and of course, tons and tons of listening practice. But I didn't get that much speaking practice until maybe 1 year before I switched over to Korean, because I didn't really have any friends to speak with. And I didn't know how I could get a lot of practice. I figured it out eventually. But I only had about a year to do it, where I was practicing daily doing online chatting and talking with friends in Japan, which was like the last year or so. And that's when I started learning speaking finally. But before that, I have a decent listening understanding from all that practice. But I mean, that was like 20 years ago. So funnily enough, I actually haven't forgotten how to understand most of what I can understand. I still kind of have it, just because I had done it for so long, but I'm like way out of practice. So still though, I was in Japan not too long ago on the way to Korea. I stopped there because I still have some friends over there. And I was like still able to, I still used it. It's just not that great, but I can still, get around and talk with people and ask questions. Keith says, eat them until my tongue has a hole in it. Pretty much. Yeah, Sour Patch Kids, my favorite flavor of sandpaper, by far. There's another type of sandpaper you can get, is Captain Crunch is another one of the types of sandpaper flavors that I like, though you have to put milk in it. It's a little bit too hard to eat. It's a little bit rougher grit than Sour Patch Kids, but that's pretty good too. Swedish mints are good. Not sure if they're actually Swedish. Okay. I saw Avatar in IMAX the other day. It was good. Kind of redundant plot, but still good overall. I enjoyed it as well. I've seen all 3 in theaters, IMAX, once each. Period. I've never gone back and tried to watch them on TV, never rented them. I don't care. But in theaters, in IMAX, in 3D, it's a spectacle. It's like, I don't know. It's like going to see a big sports game. You just kind of collectively, everyone around the world collectively experiences this, this cool thing to look at. And then once it's over, you're like, what was that about? I don't know. I'll see the next one, I'm sure, though. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. Did you hear BTS's new album? No, I did not hear. Did they released a new album? I know they're doing concerts again from March, I believe, right? They're doing a new tour. That's the big news. That's actually pushing me right now a lot. Can talk about that with my, I'm working on another series right now. And the thought of BTS like coming marching up to my door in March is making me work extra hard on the current series that I'm doing right now to get it out as fast as possible, which is hard because I have to do lots of research. I've already been doing research for this since the very end of last year, but especially like full on research from the beginning of this month. It's still January, right? Yeah. So I still need at least another 2 weeks of research before I can like start, finalizing and getting ready to film and stuff like that. Maybe even 3 weeks or something. But yeah, I'm currently working on the Stray Kids series, and I've got so much stuff for that. Like, it's my days. I wake up, I shower, I put on Stray Kids videos, and I'm writing, and I'm clipping, and taking notes, and going back and like changing them and everything like that. And yeah, I'm just trying to get that series out as fast as possible before BTS comes along. That way people are still thinking about, focused on Stray Kids as much as possible. I know the fans still will, but the casual people who aren't, maybe that they aren't big fans, they might watch it if I can get it out before BTS comes back. My husband got his degree 20 years ago. He still had it. Yeah. Yeah, Stray Kids, it's my biggest series I've ever made because there are 8 members. Previously, the record would have been BTS, which is 7 members. But yeah, Stray Kids is, I'm taking my, all my experience from doing all the other previous series, the best methods for researching, all combined together to make Stray Kids right now. So you're going to get the best possible series I can make in this upcoming series. I'm really proud of it. I've already finished writing 2 of the 8, and you're gonna like them. Like I came up with a lot of stuff in my research that I could not find anywhere on the internet, in Korean either. And I found so much stuff in my research in English that's just flat out wrong about all the members. So I'm excited to kind of, present what my findings for that. So if you're a fan, I think you'll like it. If you're not a fan, I mean, you won't know who I'm talking about, but maybe you can still watch it anyway. Maybe you'll learn something about, a K-pop celebrity that you have no interest in. Like sometimes I'll go watch speedrun analysis videos for games that I've never played on a console that I don't own. You know how it is. That's kind of, I'm hoping I can get some of that audience when I release these videos. People who are like, Stray Kids? Who's that? What's K-pop? I guess I'll watch it. I don't have anything to do for 20 minutes. SKZ forever. All right, that's good to know. It's good to know, Kai. I wonder if any actors could have similar viewer quantities? I'm not sure what you mean. Anyone who's just coming in here for the first time, we're going to get started with the lesson at the top of the hour. So you're still here early. We just always kind of ramble about whatever we want before the lesson starts. Make sure the equipment's working. Lights are on. Microphones microphoning. Lights are lighting. Board is boarding. All that stuff. Seems okay for so far. Oh yeah, and the camera, of course. But when I first started doing these live streams, we'd have a lot of issues. Like it would cut out. Microphone was off or broken, or like the camera wasn't flipped the correct way. So it just kind of became a tradition to start these live streams early. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, actors. I thought about that. I don't think so. Is there a Korean actor that would be able to get as much attention on how they speak Korean as a, say, quote unquote K-pop music group, right? I don't think so. There are very famous Korean actors, but I think as far as, yeah, actually, I don't know. I kind of like doing the K-pop groups because at the very least, like I'll spend, say, 1 to 2 months for each group. Depends on the group. Even like 5 members, though, would still take a month. But like the TXT video I did a couple years ago, that was like over a month I think, of research and everything. And that's, 5 members. One person would still take a long time to do. I'd still have to spend at least like a week to just do one person. So it's like, if I spend an extra, 2 weeks, I can like triple or quadruple the amount of videos I can put out with the same amount of time. It's better for me to do a K-pop group just because I can get more content out of my work. Like default, it's going to take me this amount of time. Might as well have an extra video out of it. Kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't know if there is. I can't really think of who would be like a Korean actor that everyone knows. I mean, I can think of a few that like people would recognize, but like, would there be a Korean actor and that speaks in Korean? That's the other thing, is there are several like Korean actors who live abroad and speak English. But I'm thinking about Korean who speak Korean that would be interesting to analyze. I'm not sure. A desk? Oh, yeah. So I haven't had my desk now in a few months. Ever since I started the podcast, I had to get rid of my desk, my beloved, gigantic, high quality, sturdy, perfect desk, and I am using a smaller desk. I'm happy with it though, because what I did, I can't show you right now without messing up my camera angle, but I recently, one of my on my desk, I have 3 monitors that I use because I do like one monitor's for this and one monitor's for like, oh, that's where I open my folders. The other monitor's for like watching the videos. And I use 3 monitors regularly when I'm doing research and writing. But one of my monitors, my expensive monitors, last week decided to die suddenly. It wasn't the cable or the adapter or anything like that. Just the monitor died. It was already dying for years. Like it wouldn't turn on sometimes, or it would like not shut off properly and it would flicker. But anyway, slowly dying, giving me signs, but it actually finally died a week ago. So I'm like, okay, got to get a new monitor. So I ordered a new monitor, fit everything nicely on the desk, cleaned up my desk. The new monitor has a stand. My first monitor ever that has a stand. Can you believe it? And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the new desk. I do miss the old one though, but Jeremy's taking care of it in his room. He's going to be using that as his computer desk someday, but for right now, it's just sitting there for reading or whatever. I gave him I had like a light, an LED book light that I had on my desk that I wasn't using, so I gave that to him as well. Oh, it's Kai. Thank you. Early, top of the hour, so I don't disrupt class. Haven't studied Korean much the past 2 weeks, other than a few sentences. What are you saying, Kai? Didn't you promise? Didn't you promise me? Didn't you promise us that you would study more Korean? That you'd practice more Korean? And yet, a few sentences, Kai. I thought we had an agreement, Kai. It's very disappointing, Kai. All donations today are going to a specific fund called the Billy Needs to Buy a New Mouse Fund, because my current computer mouse is an Amazon Basics. It's cordless. It's wireless. It has a little USB adapter. So I mean, it works, kind of. But a couple days ago, it started glitching. It wouldn't click, and it wouldn't move sometimes, and it'll freeze. So I don't know what's going on, but I think it's time. I mean, it's not that old even. Even my friend actually got it for me as like a Christmas present 2 years ago, and I just started using it like a few months ago. Not that old, but I think I need to get a new mouse already. So everything today is going toward the mouse fund. I already know what I'm going to get. I actually already have one, but it's not, I have one I use for my laptop, which is where I edit the podcast episodes on. I'll show you. I have this mouse, which I'll probably buy another one of these because I'm decently happy with it. It was pretty cheap actually. I'm probably gonna get one of these for my desktop, but I like it for my laptop. So when I do editing, it works good. But then for my entire desktop setup with 3 monitors, I'm using the little Amazon Basics one. So I need to upgrade this, which was like $5, I think, to this, which was $40. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna be doing next. Oh, I see. I saw my board flash. Yes, I made Kai feel bad. That's right. Think the Duolingo bird is your biggest enemy? It's not. It's me. Kai, you don't have to. I don't want you to think. I don't want anyone to think that you have to quote unquote study, like sit down and study Korean every day in order to improve the language or in order to keep your language going. That's what you need to do in the beginning. You do need to do actual studying to learn like the basic grammar in the first place. But a lot of what people need is like really what you need is a few minutes of studying every day. Like you have to do a few minutes of studying every day, no matter what. Like you have to do at least like 5 or 10 minutes a day if you're a beginner and you are in the beginner level. But beyond that, what you really need is a lot of listening practice. A lot of exposure to the language is really what you need, in addition to a little bit of grammar so that you can keep moving up. But the listening practice is what's going to really flesh out your language and make it so you can use it more than just the few dozen words you learn in your book and the couple grammar forms that you're learning each week. Oh, and thank you, Mikey. Get a rat. I'm not sure what rat means. Mikey, what do you mean by get a rat? I don't have a cage for that. Do you mean like rats living in my house? In my walls? That's not very nice. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but thank you for the $20. Maybe I can put it toward a rat exterminator. Thank you, Mikey. A pet rat. Ah, okay, pet. I get it now. I get it. A pet rat. All right, I'll think about that. But in the meantime, I really do need a new computer mouse. If you don't mind, I would like to put it toward the mouse instead, if that's okay. But thank you. Kai says, I know. Please accept my apologies. I know, right? All out. Okay, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. We'll get started with the lesson. We'll get started with the lesson in just less than 5 minutes. In the meantime, any other questions before we get started? Chi. Note that in Korean, chi would be mouse, but of course, mouse is the computer mouse, the peripheral. It's Kai also said, aye, Captain. Oh, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? What was the Captain Crunch, though, slogan? What did he say? Yarr! We be breaking ye molars, lad. What was the Captain Crunch? What did he say? I can't remember. Captain Crunch. Captain! Because Mickey, Mikey, it's not Mickey. Hey, Mickey. It's Mikey. Because Mikey tried to beat me already. This is not a contest. It's Kai. We're not competing to see who donates the most. I honestly appreciate everyone who just comes here and watches the lessons and practices and, comments, all that. I appreciate everyone the same. Kai, okay, I appreciate you a little bit more now. But I like everyone who's just learning Korean. So yeah, there's no contest going on here. But thank you though, either way, Kai. This is pretty much I can almost get a mouse now, which is great. I didn't think I'd get to my mouse goal so quickly. Because I think the mouse I want, it should still be on sale. It's like always on sale, but you know what I mean. Should still be about $40. You and me, Kai, have afforded Billy a pet rat. Hello, I just want to tell you I got Topic 4. Hey, that's great. Hey, Topic 4. That's so yeah, for those who don't know, Topic has 6 like levels for you can score into in 2 separate tests. And Topic 4 is the second half. That's where you're taking the more advanced version of the test. So it like really kind of picks up after Topic 3. So on to Topic 4, 5, and 6. Those are like the big ones. If you got a Topic 4, that's awesome. That's like, you can do stuff. You got some Korean skills there. Congrats. It's Kai says, you sure about that? Do you want more money? Do you have to yell, Kai? You have to. Oh, that's right. Crunchitize me, Captain. That's right. That was one of the commercials. That wasn't like the theme. That wasn't something that he said, but that was like what the kids said in one of the versions where they wanted him to like make them into Captain Crunch, I believe. I don't know what happened to their blood cells and their body parts when you become Captain Crunch cereal. Does he consume you? Do you rot if you don't like get vacuum sealed or something? Like, does your brain work? Like, what happens when you get crunchitized? The only contest is the one to learn Korean. That's correct, Noah Deeves. Oh, Mikey. Mikey says, yeah, I knows it's not a competition. It is not a competition. If it were a competition, it's not. But if it were, Mikey would be winning, but it's not. Remember that. It's not. Never is. The only competition is to learn Korean. But again, you still don't want to compare yourself to other people when you're learning Korean because that's bad. 1 minute left. We'll get started, I promise. For the other people who are like, why the heck is this? Why did I come early to hear Billy talk about gummy bears, Captain Crunch? Natalie says, the extra donation did it for me. You're forgiven. Time to give Adobe notice. You require an extra break for study. Yeah, I don't know if Adobe can afford this. I don't know if they're letting, if they know that Kai has the Adobe business account card. Kai, no, you need to stop. You've already won. I'm closing the contest because I don't like this. I don't like this kind of competitive vibe I'm getting from both of you guys, both you and Mikey. I'm gonna have to sit you apart for the rest of the class. So Kai, I want you to go over to that corner on the left, and I want Mikey to go over to the corner on the right. I don't want you to look at each other or share notes or anything. The contest is over. Kai wins. But no more. I'm putting an end to it. We got to get started with the class now. Thank you, both of you. Thank you. 감사합니다. One more time, but it's time to stop. Really, we have to learn Korean. I have a very important class to share with you today. We have a very important lesson to learn. Add. What did I just get finished talking with Kai and Mikey about? Were you even paying attention, Ad? Drop my paper, drop my pen. Did you even hear what I'm trying to do, Ad? Oh, you did. I see your comment now. A good mouse is okay. I was gonna lecture you that I'm just trying to get a mouse, and that I already got a mouse. A good mouse is essential. I mean, I didn't say this, but I'm actually going to get. Not only will I get a new mouse because of those 2 troublemakers in the back of the class, I'm also going to be getting. I can't show you this clearly because it's. Oh, I actually do have another. This was my $10 keyboard that I got in 2016, and it doesn't work very well, and my backspace doesn't work. But the good news is I'm not this is cheap. The mouse is like mice are like $40, depends on what kind you get. Keyboards are pretty cheap I'm not going mechanical. I don't have that kind of money. But thank you to Ad Astra as well. Not only will I replace my mouse, but I'm also gonna get a new one of these little keyboards. Thank you. But seriously, guys, we need to hold on. Let me make sure I didn't miss any of the chat. They're both the same size, so in Billy's hearts, we are all the same. I cannot request it, or they will fire me. I'm gonna move my seat next to Kai. Mikey, I did not say you can move your seat next to Kai. I want Ad to sit in between you two to keep you apart, but I need Ad to go back to the end of to the back of the class as well for what he did. If you didn't make me put down Adobe, remember, it's not a competition. This is not a competition. If it were a competition, Ad Astra just smoked both of you, like hilariously bad. But it's not a competition, so no one wins. Even though Ad would have totally won, like way, like, but it's not. So you're all in the losers category as far as I see it. Although Ad is at the top of that. Okay, thank you. Sorry for everyone actually waiting for the lesson. I'm 2 minutes past the time I should have started this lesson at. Goodness, these kids these days. Just don't listen. You still have the crown in chat. Yes. You think you know someone. Yeah, I didn't even do it. I didn't even teach Noah. I could just seriously be like, you know what? I got a mouse. I'm getting a keyboard. I don't care anymore. I'm just, see you guys. Peace. And just like walk off. Shut off the stream. I'm going to come here every time I need to beg for money to buy to buy stuff to replace my broken equipment. Anyway, what was I about to do? Okay. We're going to be learning 3 forms, 3 versions of a similar form, 3 ways to say there's no way. The first one is the most common standard version of this form. The way you make it is you take a verb stem. So hada is just ha. Mokda is just mok. That's all you have to do. No special rules for that. Then you'll attach if it ends with a consonant. So mokda would be mok, moger. Or attach a lir if it ends in a vowel. So hada would be ha. So you get hal. Now, there are exceptions for verbs that normally would transform when using them in grammar There normally are exceptions, though, for verbs that would transform when you're using them in grammar forms, like the verb 살다, to live, already ends in a lir. So you simply make it as 살, and you're done. 춥다, to be cold, as well as many verbs that end in that letter, piup, will remove that letter and then add an u sound normally. So you get 춥다 becomes 추울, 추울, like that. Or 그렇다. Oops, write it in a bigger spot. As well as other verbs that end with this letter in the verb stem. This goes away, you're left with a vowel, and you make it like that. So there are some common verb exceptions, but these are the normal exceptions that will happen in a lot of grammar forms, not only here. Basically, what you're doing is you're just making the future tense adjective form of any verb. Isn't that super easy? All you got to do is get the future tense adjective form of any verb, action verb, or descriptive verb, and you're done. I mean, there are a few steps to doing that, but that is essentially what you're doing. You're just getting the adjective version. This is the same as if you were making any other form that has this, though. Okay, so once you do that, you're going to add li. Now, li What is that? I'll talk about that in a second. Followed by, optionally, the subject marker, ka. And then conjugate the verb, 없다. So, hold on. Lexica. Lexica, thank you. Lexica is the only person I'm going to say thank you to here. Except for the 3 troublemakers in back. Lexica wasn't trying to get points. Wasn't trying to get brownie points. Lexica's just keeping their minute 7 donation. Thank you, Lexica. You know there's no way minute 7 will miss a class. 놓칠, oh, small typo. 놓칠. Just need the L at the bottom of that. 놓칠 리가 없어요. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so there's another thing though that you should know about how to make this form, and that is the verb stem you use can either be the regular verb stem we just did, like 하다 becoming 할, 먹다 becoming 먹을, or you could also use the past tense verb stem. So that is simply made by getting the past tense verb. So 하다 normally would be like 했어요, right? Well, you get het. You get all the way to the double 시옷 part of it, and then you attach and then finish it normally. So 하다 normally would be like 했어요. So you get 했을 like that. Or 먹다 would be 먹었을 like that. So instead of saying there's no way that something happens, now you have a past tense. So there's no way that something happened. There's no way that he ate 3 pizzas. ate 먹었을 리가, and then you conjugate this. 없어요. So what is this form then? So now we know how to make it. So then what is this form? Well, let's talk about this part for a second. 리. 리 is actually from 한자. It's a word that's used as what they call a bound noun. It means it's a noun. It's a noun, but it's only used in grammar forms. So you're not going to be throwing around this normally, but I'll draw that up here. I believe it's just... Okay, this is the Hanja, the Chinese character that is read as Li. And if anyone here is familiar with Chinese or Japanese or Hanja, this one means logic or a reason. Logic or a reason. So this form, therefore, literally means 없다, to not exist. Logic or reason for whatever verb. So let's say we have an action verb, like to do, just to keep it simple. 하다, 할 리가 없어요. There's no way that someone does something. You can think of it like that. Literally, though, what you're saying is 할 리가 없어요. You're saying there is no logic, there is no reason why, or logic that someone would do that, whatever it is that you're talking about. Now, this can not only be an action verb, like there's no way that someone would do something. It can also be a descriptive verb. There's no way that it would be like that. Oh, there's no way it would be only, $3. There's no way it would be that cold in the winter. Like that sort of, there's no way. But by saying there's no way, literally you're saying there is no logic or reason for something. Like, oh, there's no way. That doesn't make any sense. There's no logic for that. There's no reason for that being that way. Thereby saying there's no way. So, optionally, you can remove the subject marker, but most of the time, almost all the time, you'll see it as 리가 with 없다. But it is optional technically. Okay, so that is the basic way to make this form. Hold on, let me find something. I'm going to leave this up for just a minute, and then I'm going to give you some example sentences. Hey, mine was just for your mouse. No other reason. No, I think Kai, I think yours was for the thrill of just stomping over Mikey. And Mikey was also so that he could extract sweet revenge from Kai. So I think it was motivated by different reasons. Wait, Billy, Lexica donated $5 not. Oh, you're right. Wait a minute, Angel Harmony. We don't like tattletales in this class, Angel Harmony. I want you to go to the back, sit next to Kai. Lexica wasn't saying anything though. Lexica's like, I'll take it. Yours too, Mikey, right? Mine was for the mouse, says Mikey. And then I had to donate just to clarify it was not. Yes. Mary Laura says as in Nurli. Yes, it's the same li. There are actually a lot of words that use li as well. Nurlijok. Yeah, same word as Nurli. Yep. We just support you so much. And since you haven't let Adobe sponsor you yet, I see what this is. I see what this is. Okay. So let me give you an example sentence. This should feel like pretty obvious, right? It shouldn't be too crazy, right? Actually, it's not do opsa. It's too boring. Let's make it a little more fun. Op지. Okay. 엄마가. So 엄마 means our mom. 엄마가 mom. 이걸, which is short for 이것을. Oops. Be right there. 이걸 is just 이것을 shortened. So 이걸. This. 모르다. To not know. 모를리. So literally, logic or reason that mom would not know this. 가 없지. There is no logic or reason that mom wouldn't know this, is what you're saying literally. But more naturally, this would be like, there's no way mom wouldn't know this. Like, mom knows everything. There's no way mom wouldn't know it. Mom knows everything. There's no way she wouldn't know this. 엄마가 이걸 모를 리가 없지. 없지. Like, there isn't. Huh? There isn't, right? 없지. 모를 리가 없지. 엄마가 이걸 모를 리가 없지. There's no way mom wouldn't know this. I'll leave this up for a minute. I have a few more sentences. See how it all ties together. I'm a great Adobe worker, still in the basement. It's Kai. I feel like Kai is working right next to Milton from Office Space. They're both kind of shoved in the corner of the basement. No one's giving them any cake. Wait, you can use the subject marker multiple times in one sentence? Yes, you can. 엄마가 리가. Yeah. Did someone say you can't? I don't think anyone would say you can't though, but maybe when you learn about it the first time, you might think like, oh, one per sentence. Like this marks the thing in the sentence and this marks the this in the sentence. So there can't be more, but that's not really it doesn't really mark the subject or the same with the topic marker. It's not really marking the subject in the sentence. It's marking a subject in the sentence. You can have multiple subjects in a sentence. In this case, mom, it's marking who doesn't know. And then 없다, ka here marks what is not. What is 없다? And that's li. So you can have multiple. Yeah. Now, again, the ka in this form is optional. So you could have also said 엄마가 이걸 모를 리 없지. But that's much less common. More often, you're going to see this used with ka. It's optional. So again, it's optional, but like 90% of the time, you're going to hear it. That's all weird. Okay. 비도 오는데 아직도 기다리고 있을 리 없어요. 비도 오다. It's also raining. Literally, also rain is coming. Using the 도 marker here is common in Korean instead of saying and at the beginning of your sentence. Something that a lot of Korean learners do that gives away that they're a Korean learner is at the beginning of a sentence when they want to say and, they'll just say like 그리고 or 그래서 or something like that in every sentence. When that's not really what natives will do unless you really want to say like furthermore. But if you just want to say, man, it's also raining. It's also raining. You wouldn't say like, and by the way, it is raining, right? You would just say it's also raining. And they would do that by simply using the particle to in whatever the first thing that they're talking about in the sentence is. So by adding it here, literally you're saying it's also raining, but that's kind of like starting a sentence being like, it's even, and by the way, or also, it's raining, like sort of like that. So it has the feeling of adding something to your previous sentence without starting the sentence with saying like literally and or in addition like that. So it's just a natural way to do that. 비도 오는데, so it's also raining. 아직도, still, yet, even now. 기다리다, to wait. 기다리고 있다, is waiting. 기다리고 있을 리, logic or reason that they are still waiting. It's raining. So there's no way, 없어요, that they're still going to be waiting. 비도 오는데 아직도 기다리고 있을 리 없어요. In this case, it's just 리. But you probably could have also said 리가. 기다리고 있을 리가 없어요. It's raining, so there's no way that they're still waiting. Like, come on, it's raining out there. There's no way they're still waiting. 비도 오는데 아직도 기다리고 있을 리 없어요. I'll leave this one up for a minute before we go on to our next sentence. Li is ji. Well, the Chinese pronunciation now in modern Chinese, in Mandarin, is going to be very different than the sounds that they had in Korean. Fun fact, but the sounds in Korean for hanja came about around the year, sometime between the years 700 AD and 1000-ish. It was during the Tang Dynasty in China, which was around that time. So over 1,000 years ago, the Tang Dynasty in China, the way that the characters are read today was originally based on how they actually were read in Chinese at the time. So basically, it was like how we say a word in French, but we say it in our American accent. Like it has a je ne sais quoi, or it's an hors d'oeuvres, right? We have all these French words that we just pronounce them any way we want. So that would have been the original way. They would have been said how they were actually pronounced at the time. And the location would have been Northern Chinese dialects at the time, because that's near Korea. So however people in China near Korea were pronouncing these words during the Tang Dynasty, when Korea took a lot of these words over, that would have been how they are now they're locked in, how they would have been said in the past. And nowadays, a lot of them sound completely different. But interestingly, today, Cantonese has, for some reason, I don't know why, but Cantonese, I guess, preserved a lot of those sounds better. So some of the words will sound kind of similar to what they do sound today in Cantonese, but not in Mandarin. So if you're ever wondering, well, how come it sounds so different in Chinese? Listen to it in Cantonese for, I did say Cantonese, right? I don't even remember what I just said. Yeah. Listen to it in Cantonese, and it should sound a little bit closer. Doesn't li mean inside? No. It means logic or reason. Unless you're talking about, I mean, I don't know if there's like a Chinese word that means that. The sound shift probably drifted in both languages. I don't know. Let me see what that is today in Chinese. Let's do a search. if you type anything in Korean and press the right control key, it'll bring up a hanja selection, so you can pick which one you want. Let's see. No, it looks like in Japanese today, they still use that one as well for logic or reason. Um, in Korean, let's see, because the characters will sometimes have multiple meanings. Like they'll have an original meaning that they were made for when they were first created, and that might not always match up with how it actually gets used. This one also means to rule. Yes. Yeah, yeah. This one is also used in combination words to mean to rule over, like to govern or to rule, like that. Um yeah, but it can have multiple meanings. How do you study self-study Korean? You can ask that at the end of the lesson, actually. I do take questions after we finish the class that can be related to anything. I usually hang out about half an hour after it ends. But don't spam the chat. When we say Korean, are we talking about the one used in North Korea as well? I mean, does the language used in North Korea have hanja in it? Yes, they do. They pretend... Okay, this is time to mock North Korea because he can't do anything. He's going to ban me from visiting his country. North Korea likes to pretend that they want to be the pure version of Korean. Like they make all these fake, nationalistic arguments. Like, we're going to be the real Korean. Korean nowadays adds in all these foreign words, all these English words, which makes it less pure is what they'll say, which is totally BS because, I mean, what languages is pure? Like, are you going to say that all the Korean words you think today were created in Korea? You're not going to say any of them come from other countries? Like, we already know a lot of Korean words are from other languages. I'm not talking about Chinese. I'm talking about like pure Korean words that have no hanja. We already know a lot of them have come from other languages as well. And we do the same thing in English. But anyway, North Korea likes to pretend that they're more superior. So they're like, we don't use English words. We get rid of them all. But they actually use tons of Russian words. But we don't use those English words. And we're not going to use all these Chinese words too. But they still use them just the exact same. They're going to try to make their own words for stuff, but they still use the same ones. Or like they'll use words that are in Korean because they'll think, oh, it's Korean word, it's better. But they'll use words that are from other languages. Like the most common example would be the word telephone. Hold on, I'll erase this. I think you've got this. Famously, this one's probably the most famous, easiest example to pull out. Tona for telephone is actually a Japanese word that they brought back into Korea. So if anyone would want to get rid of Japanese influence, it's going to be North Korea. I mean, South Korea also tries to get rid of that too. But North Korea especially, like they would be, gotta get rid of all that. It's still used. It's a Japanese word that brought back into Korea because they made the telephone over there and brought it over into Korea. So they brought the word with them. But the word is not from Chinese. Chinese then after took the word as well. They still use this. I don't know how they pronounce it, but they still use the same word for telephone. So it's like they just like to pretend that they're cool, but they do the exact same thing, but lamer, I think. So yeah, I don't even know why I got on that tangent. Oh, that's right. You were talking about North Korea. So yes, North Korea and South Korea at the time, it wasn't like a North and South Korea situation anyway. It was just Korea. And the reason it was similar because it would have been the same in North and South Korea for pronunciations because the words didn't come through the country like people were spreading them. It was simply the Chinese language came in because that was the language that was like governing Korea. For a while, Korea was like a vassal state, not governed by, I shouldn't say, not controlled by, but Korea was paying tributes to China all the time. And so the government, anything that they would do officially, Korea didn't have a writing system that was actually commonly used until very recently. And they would use simply Chinese. They would read and write, not Korean in Chinese, but just straight up Chinese, because that was like the official language. Like, trying to think of an equivalent to that. Anyway, so yeah, you would just learn Chinese, and that was the same. It would have been the same pronunciation, the same letters as what you would learn. It wasn't like that was they were speaking it, it would suddenly change like that. So, okay, next sentence. Check the chat. Splur says to process, to carve. Yeah, I don't know what it would have been originally. I actually have a Hanja book where I can check like the original meaning of the characters. Is that electric conversation? Yes, it is. Yeah, Chona, exactly. The more I learn Korean, the more scuffed my Chinese gets somehow, even though I still see it in Korean. Yeah, telephone word in Chinese came from Japanese. That's right. It went from Japan to China, to Korea to China, like that. Dianhua, that's right. Dianhua, same thing. Although they use the simplified version of both of them. It's not the original, the older, the traditional characters. They use the simplified version for Mandarin. And then the traditional version for, I think, Taiwanese. I think that uses the traditional characters. Yeah, Chona, that's right. Okay, the next sentence. 사람이, people. 사람이 그렇게, that, 쉽게, easily. 쉽다, to be easy. So 쉽게, easily. So 사람이 그렇게 쉽게 변하다, to change. 변할 리 없어요. There's no logic or reason that people would change that easily, is what you're saying. There's no way people would change that easily. People don't change that easily, basically. 사람이 그렇게 쉽게 변할 리 없. 사람이 그렇게 쉽게 변할 리 없어요. So there's no way someone changes that easily. Maybe you hear that this weird guy you know is dating someone. You're like, oh, that guy's weird. And the girl's like, no, he's totally fine. You're like, no, he was weird like last month. Oh, he's fine now. Hey, 사람이 그렇게 쉽게 변할 리 없지. People aren't going to change that easily, like that. 사람이 그렇게 쉽게 변할 리 없어요. There's no way someone, a person, changes that easily. People do change, I think, but yeah, usually takes time. Cantonese was like Mandarin, the lingua franca, very, very long ago. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know anything about like Chinese history outside of like the basics that are intertwined with Korea. I don't know anything about how their language changed and why does Cantonese today sound more similar to the pronunciation of those Hanja than the literally the place that's next to Korea. I don't know. I mean, Mandarin would be closer proximity to Korea, but for some reason it's totally different. Which part is the change? 변하다. 변하다 is to change or transform. Notice that this is not like you are changing something. It is something changes. It's what's known as an intransitive verb. That means like it itself is changing. It's not the verb to transform, to change something. Like I changed the color, I changed it. But it's like more like it changes. He or she or they change like that. To transform, to become altered like that. strong caffeine. Okay. I, 시험, a test. 맞다, to get right. 다 맞다, to get all right. 시험을 다 맞았으리. So in this case, it's past tense. Not that there's no way I could get them all right, but there's no way I 맞았어요. There's no way that I got. 맞았을 리가 없는데? There's no way I got all of them right on the test. There's no way I got the whole test right. Like that. There's no way I got everything right on the test. In this case, 없는데. Now the 대 form, the simplest way to think of it is it's kind of like raising up one of your hands. Like you're putting information on your hand and kind of like presenting it out to the listener. Like, what do you think about this? 없는데, there's not. See? Kind of like that. So to translate that in English, when you give 대, when you use 대 at the end of a question, it's kind of like exclaiming something in English. Like, there's no way. Like, come on. There's no way that I got all of them right. 내가 시험을 다 맞았을 리가 없는데? There's no way I got all of them right. Like that. So you can kind of translate this 대 with a question as almost like an exclamation mark in English. You're not asking them a question. You're simply saying something, but you're making it a question because you're like bringing it up to their attention. 내가 시험을 다 맞았을 리가 없는데? I'll leave this up for a minute and then I'll go on to the next one. Mandarin's kind of a constructed language. How so? I mean, I know that in the early 90s, 1900s, not 90s, 1900s-ish, they did the simplified version of the characters, but the language wasn't changed then. It was just they changed the characters. The interesting thing is, I know a lot of people already know this, but I'm still going to say it again in case someone doesn't already know this. But a cool thing is that back in the past, like in modern Chinese, there are tones, right? Like 4 or 6, depending on which, Mandarin or Cantonese. There are tones, right? You can say like shi, 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 like they're all like different, right? And Korean doesn't have that. Although there are some dialects in Korean that do have some things like that, like E and E. Like there are some the features of Korean dialects that do have that, but typically no. Korean doesn't have any tones. But in the past, go back several hundred years, Korean was tonal, and you had to add tones to what you're saying in Korean. And funnily, Chinese was not. Chinese was not a tonal language, and Korean was. So what the heck happened? Why did Chinese become tonal, and Korean lost its tones? I'll just say, yeah. But anyway, some dialects in Korean though still preserve some of those older tones. Not a lot, but like in certain words, they'll pronounce them a specific way. And there are some features of tones that did stick in modern Korean, not actual tones. But what happened is in Korean, when tones slowly went away, they didn't just disappear, but what happened is the tones flattened into long vowels. So you have a lot of examples in Korean where there's a word that's supposed to be said with a longer or a shorter vowel. There are only 2 options, longer or short. And most words doesn't really affect. Like you can just say the word, 내가. It's the same. But then there are going to be examples where you're supposed to say it as not 내가, but as 내, like that. Or like 시험. This is not how you say it. But like, for example, you might say this is a longer vowel and this one's a shorter vowel. And that would have been originally because that would be how a word would have been pronounced with tone. So the tones disappeared, but to add emphasis to them, they would have the sounds can be a little bit longer or shorter. Fortunately, this isn't something you have to learn separately. Anyway, it's something you're going to pick up mostly simply by listening to a lot of Korean, but it's not something you have to go out of your way to learn. And the best part is you can say something with the wrong short or longer vowel, and it makes no difference. They're going to understand you perfectly, which is also a good thing. Anyway. Tones are what confused me about Chinese the most. I never got the courage to start learning because I knew I'm going to get confused. They weren't that bad. I did Mandarin for like 3 months. This was before I started YouTube. I was doing Mandarin studies for about 3 months, and I don't remember the tones being a big issue. More of it was an issue that I couldn't get good books for learning Mandarin at the time, and I didn't have enough people I could practice with. That was really the bigger issue for me. But the tones were like not that big of a deal. And again, also for Mandarin, if you say the tones wrong, as long as you're not like making up new tones, if you just say it kind of flat, everyone's going to understand you. It's not like if you say the wrong tone, they're going to laugh at you and they're not going to understand you. For anything you're doing as a foreigner speaking basic Mandarin, no one's going to care. They'll understand you perfectly. They're going to use the tones correctly. They'd prefer, it sounds natural. It sounds much more like a native if you use the tones perfectly. But if you don't, it makes perfect sense. The only confusion would be is if you open a book with words that have the same tone and just randomly say like, sure. Like to them, they're going to be like, what? What are you talking about? Which one do you mean? Your tone was wrong. That's the only time it's going to really make a difference. Or like if you have some really complicated expression where it's vague, whether you mean like this word or that word. But yeah, it's not a big deal. As it's been explained to me, as I've heard. But yeah, don't let like any one aspect of any language discourage you from trying the language. This is something kind of fun that I guess I realized decades ago. But think of the absolute dumbest person that you know in the entire world. I mean, like intelligence, like they're just dumb as a rock. Think of the dumbest person you know. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to write it down. Please don't write down Billy. That person speaks their native language perfectly, right? They'll say some dumb stuff, but they speak their language really well. They can express themselves really well, right? Granted that, they don't have any severe, mental deficiencies, but just, regular dumb person, right? We're talking about the regular dumbos, okay? They're Korean people. Some that I've met, I'm just like, wow, this dude's dumb. But they'll speak perfect Korean, right? Like learning a language, Korean or English or whatever, has nothing to do with being like smart or like talented or gifted at languages or anything like that. Tones, like they can learn tones too. It's not a big deal. It's just about how much time do you get to put into practicing it? How much time do you get to listen to it? And if you're immersed completely in that language, it doesn't matter how smart you are. Being smart can help you learn faster, but it's not going to prevent you from learning it. Anyone can learn it. So yeah, like if you feel like, I know people sometimes comment this about like Korean sound change rules or like politeness levels or stuff like that. Like, oh, it's so complicated, or passive verbs, I can't ever get it. It's complicated, but it's something that when you simply get enough listening practice, it's not a big deal. You can totally do it. Like, really don't worry. There's nothing in Korean that I felt like, oh, this is a stumbling block. Like, this is going to really take lots of studying and practice to get over. There's nothing like that in Korean where you have to like do tons and tons of studying to get past. There's only stuff that you have to do lots of practicing to get past, if that makes sense. Anyway, what I want to say is you are smart enough or dumb enough, one or the other, to master Korean, just like anyone else. Just like me. You can learn Korean much better than me. It has nothing to do with anything other than how much time are you willing to put into it. Oh no, I got marker on my hand. Let's wipe it on my foot. Actually, that actually worked pretty good. Okay. Actually, this is more of an advanced level sentence. 바람이 불다 is to be windy. Literally, the wind blows. 바람이 분다고. So this is the plain form with quoting. 분다고. This form is used to mean because. So because of something, because in this case, 바람이 분다고, because it's windy. However, while it literally is used to mean because, in nuance, this is more of a spoken only grammar form that kind of sounds like just because. Like just because of that, like kind of like you're dismissing something. Just because it's windy, that's sort of just because. 바람이 분다고 소풍 is a picnic. 소풍이 취소되다, to be canceled. 취소 is cancellation. 취소될 리가 없지. There's no way the picnic will be canceled just because it's windy. 바람이 분다고 소풍이 취소될 리가 없지. Okay, I'll leave this one up for another minute. Erica says Chinese grammar so much easier than Korean grammar. Yes, that is true for the most part. There were some things that I felt were a little bit complex. Like I had to kind of wrap my head around it a bit. I'm like, wait, why do they use the "de" like that? Like, how come it makes so many things? But yeah, in general, it's more like the word order, I guess, if we're talking about grammar-wise, I don't think it's simple, but word order, yeah, it's more close to English. Yeah, 밤, 눈, like all that stuff. It just doesn't really matter though. Yeah, context wins out. And it's the same for Korean. Like it'll change the meaning if you say nun or nun, whether you're talking about snow or you're talking about eyes. But no one's going to think you're saying it's raining eyes. But then they'll never believe you when it actually happens. Yeah, it's not going to be, there's not going to be any problems with that. Regular dumbos. I just wish I knew where to put emphasis when I'm reading Korean aloud. Like my reading is flat and awkward. So Gummy Girl, that still like the name. That would be something that your tutor would help you with. They would give you feedback, like the simple rule. And if you want to ask this at the end of the class, maybe I can go over a couple more tips. But the simple rule is that you make your intonation go up and down at the end of any segment that you're saying. A segment can be a word that you're emphasizing. It can be typically it's going to be the end of a sentence if you're having a short sentence, or in a longer sentence, it'll be anywhere you have a verb connector. So like any sort of sentence connector, like 대, 지만, 고, all of those, you're going to hear the intonation go up, a tiny bit up, but then drop down as well. Kind of like to say, I finished with that thought. I finished with this thought. Now I finished with this thought. That's the basics for that. But you would have a tutor that would kind of help fine tune. If you're feeling like really bad about it, like I've heard some people who will do intonation, not making fun of them, but they'll give their American English intonation to their Korean. They'll be like, 나는 어제 친구 만났는데. Like they'll talk like that, like literally just like throwing their English accent onto their Korean. If your intonation is like that, the only thing I would suggest is flatten everything. Like just go back to the drawing board, flatten everything to start with. And then you want to add in those, and I can give you a few pointers on it, but yeah, this would be something you go over with a tutor. No, it's not can't be canceled. It's would be canceled because it's 취소되다 is to be canceled. It's the passive version. Asks 4LTK asks, why is it 없지? You can just think of it as 없어요. It's 지 is right? Like, huh? Right? You know? Isn't it? Ain't it? That sort of meaning. Come on. It's not going to be canceled just because it's windy like that. dirty. Yeah. What is this? It's the same form we just did with li, optionally ka, but instead of opta, we can now use it with ita. What? Are we saying there is a logic or reason for something happening? Actually, we're not. What this is the exact same meaning as opta. And the way it works is that you're actually going to use it as like a question, or you're going to state something is not by using ita instead of opta. Basically, instead of saying there is no reason or logic for that to happen, literally, what you're saying is there, 있어요? Is there, or could there be any reason or logic for that happening? Implying there is no way. Implying there is no reason or logic for it happening, so no way. It's just the reverse way to hypothetically ask if there could be a way by saying, yeah, I mean, it means though, no way. So same meaning, different verb. So I'm going to give you one example of this version. And there's another one or two examples on the worksheet as well. 몰랐을 리가 있나? Okay. 상식 means common sense. 상식인데, which is just like 상식이에요. 하지만, like that is what you're saying. It is common sense, but 이걸, again, 이것을, this thing, this, 모르다, to not know. 몰랐어요. They didn't know. 몰랐을 리가 있나? Is there a reason or logic that they wouldn't know this? It's common sense, is what you're saying. 상식인데 이걸 몰랐을 리가 있나? This is common sense. So is there any way they couldn't know that? Like, is there any way they wouldn't know this? It's common sense, is what you're saying. 상식인데 이걸 몰랐을 리가 있나? So you're using 있다 instead of 없다, but you're using it in a question, like hypothetically, to mean the same thing. Again, there's no way they don't know this. Like, you really think they wouldn't know this? It's common sense, like that. Yeah, Harry is asking about 수 없다. 수 literally means a ability, although you wouldn't use it by itself. It's also one of those nouns that's only used in grammar forms. But literally, 수 would be like the ability to do something. So 수 없다 is like there is no ability to do something, which means cannot, like not able to do something. Whereas 리 here means like logic or reason, like rhyme or reason. So there is not rhyme or reason for that, meaning like there's no way. So different uses. Okay. I'll leave this up for just another second. Then we have one more form we still have to go over. It's actually better than I thought. Just really sour. I got grape flavor. Yes. Okay. Let's go back to our first form and do a really quick review. So we take a verb stem, right? You attach or a lir, and then you attach li, and then ka, and then You know what? I don't think we need anything else. I think we can use this just as it is. And in fact, you can use 리, 가 by itself. You don't even need the verb. You know, we're a strong, independent grammar form who don't need no verb, and we're good with this. So what you can do is 리 followed by 가, and then you could end the sentence. Or if you want to be more polite, 리, 가, 요. And that's it. However, note that if you do not use a verb at the end, this 가 is not optional. So you wouldn't say 리 by itself. Like for our last example, 몰랐을 리 doesn't make any sense. You would say 몰랐을 리가 like that, or 몰랐을 리가요 like that. So it's either 리가 or 리가요 like that. This has the exact same meaning because it implies that it doesn't exist. It implies 없다. Because literally, again, logic or reason, like rhyme or reason, that something is going to happen a certain way. For our other example, 모르다. 모를 리가 없지. There's no way they wouldn't know that. 모를 리가. Rhyme that or reason, any reason or logic that they wouldn't know that is what you're saying literally, which implies no, there is none. Meaning there's no way. So the meaning is the exact same. It just has more of a spoken feeling. So instead of literally just saying like, there is no way, this is like, it's implying that there's no way. So it's only going to be used in speech. You're not going to be using this. I mean, you can use it if you're like writing to your friend, but it has more of a conversational, it has more of a spoken only conversational feel to it. Okay, I'll leave this up just for a minute, and then we're going to do 2 example sentences. Lisi asks, do you have sentence structure and patsim rules on your YouTube? Yes, I do. Check out my beginner Korean course. You'll see a big playlist with 100 episodes. That has everything you need, including sentence structure and patsim rules. Yeah, Keith. Oh yeah, small typo, Keith, but 그럴 리가. Yeah, very common. That's actually one of the examples I've got. Yeah. And then only used for spoken form because it doesn't have the full form. It sounds like a shortened version of it, but implies the exact same thing. Yes, Keith, exactly. Hey, 그럴 리가요. Exactly. We'll talk about that. That's actually one of the examples we're going to do. 우리 집, our house, like my house. 우리 집에, at my house. 그렇게 크다, to be, 그렇게, that much. To be big, so to be that big. 큰, big, adjective. 냄비, a pot. 그렇게 큰 냄비, a pot that big. 우리 집에 그렇게 큰 냄비가 있어요? Do we have it? 있을 리가. 있을 리가. There's no way we have a pot that big at our house. Like you need a giant pot to cook something. 에이, 우리 집에 그렇게 큰 냄비가 있을 리가. 우리 집에 그렇게 큰 냄비가 있을 리가. Implying 없지. 없어요. 있을 리가. Notice that because it doesn't have 요 at the end, this would be casual speech only. If, however, you wanted to say 있을 리가 없어요, you can say 있을 리가요. 우리 집에 그렇게 큰 냄비가 있을 리가요. And 리가 or 리가요 is very common because, again, you don't need that verb at the end. It implies, like, come on, any reason for there to be a pot that big at our house is what you're saying. You don't need to say, of course not. You can just imply it by saying the first part. 우리 집에 그렇게 큰 냄비가 있을 리가. There's no way we have a pot that big at our house. Even the vocabularies are over my head. Which word? Which word's over your head? If you don't know, nembi though would be fine if you didn't know it because it's not super common unless you live in Korea. You're not going to need to know the word nembi to travel to Korea. If you live in Korea, it's really common. It's just the regular word for any sort of pot that you cook in. 크다, to be big, you should know that. 그렇게 is like that. Or so, like that way, that much, like sort of in that way, literally. So in that way, big in that way is what you're saying. But that's how you would say that big. Like we would say, oh, it's that big. It's so big, like sort of expressing in that way that you're talking about. And if more didn't make sense than those words, check out the beginner course I have on YouTube. You'll get up to speed on that. That'll cover everything. Although it doesn't have the word nembi in it, everything else would be fine. 그럴 리가요. 그럴 리가요. 그렇다. Well, or it could be 그러다. Either way. Could be either. They both conjugate the same. 그렇다 is to be like that, to be so. There's no way that is so, is what you're saying. It kind of sounds like old-fashioned English. There is no way that is so, is what you're saying. But in Korean, that's what they use it for. 그럴, so it conjugates like this. 그럴 리가요. So there's no way. This is just the way you say the expression, there's no way, without having to use a specific verb. You're literally saying there's no way it is like that as you explain. 그럴 리가요. There's no way that you're saying what you're saying is true. You could say 그럴 리가 없어요. Exact same thing. Fine to say. 그럴 리가 없지. You can also say, or just 그럴 리가요. There's no way. Come on, there's no way. 그럴 리가요. Hey, 그럴 리가. I'll leave this up for a minute. Unless it's 후라이팬. Yeah, well, that would be a frying pan. I've seen this form being used by Koreans so much, never actually learned it now. Okay, you were able to guess its meaning though, so that's good. But yeah, now you know. So now you know exactly what this form means and all three versions of it. And that is our lesson. Let me take a thumbnail. Because the lesson is about saying no way, I think my expressions should be saying no way too. I think that'll be the thumbnail. Now I'm going to take questions. So if you have a question about anything, whether it's related to the lesson or not, I'm going to hang out until 3:30. So that's 28 minutes from now. I'm totally not going to forget about the time and do it longer. I'll try anyway. I just spit on my microphone. I do have to still edit this live stream, and I also have to finish writing the next podcast episode tonight, but I will stay for 28 more minutes now. Is 그럴 리가 similar? Okay, so 그럴 리가 is an expression. 설마 is an adverb. Um, 설마, 설마 그럴 리가. Sarma would be used for saying something that you can't believe. I could do a separate lesson about that, but if you're wondering, is it similar? If you're just saying the words by themselves, they're similar, but Sarma is more of like, it's more of a doubt. Like, come on. Like I can't even imagine that sort of thing. Like, you can't be serious. Sarma is like that. Whereas Koroliga is not talking about your doubt so much. It's your expression, not of disbelief, but of saying that it's your opinion. You're expressing it as your opinion that something could not happen, not expressing your doubt about it. So if you're talking about like in English translation, it's very similar. The nuance though is different. The nuance though of this is more of like, it's your opinion. And the nuance of Sarma is like, you can't even imagine it, like that sort of thing. I completely doubt it. But usage wise, they're not related at all, because again, Sarma would be used as an adverb in a sentence, typically at the very beginning. And then Kuroliga is an expression all in itself. Like that is the full sentence, like Kuroliga or Kuroligayo, as we just saw. We're going to find the practice sheet. Isabel, so every live stream since like 2020 has an outline, which is this, and a worksheet which has an additional anywhere between like 6 and 14 sentences. I think this one has like 9 or 10. Anyway, there are extra sentences, and those are all on my Patreon page. So I can share a link to that. My poor mouse. Patreon. Okay. My Patreon page, and if you join on my Patreon page, I really appreciate it. I purposely did not increase the price since I first introduced it in like 2016. It is the exact same prices for the tiers. So if you donate even the $1 tier, it's $1 a month. You can donate and download every single live stream outline I've ever done, as well as every worksheet that there is. You can download all of them. There's a Google document I'll also share. And in this, it has every single live stream I've ever done, links to those, every abridged version of those, every outline, every topic covered, and every worksheet all in one Google document. So if there's something you're searching for, you can find the lesson, download the outline and the worksheet, do all that as much as you want, and then you can cancel the Patreon if you can't afford more than $1 one time. I understand. I'm not actually totally understand that. You still get everything. So yeah, it's available on my Patreon page. The lessons are free. That's the only thing that I charge for, I guess, is the ability to download the outlines. But again, you're not getting anything I don't present here. Like if you paid attention to the lesson and took notes, you already have this. It's just, my version of it that I use for teaching. The worksheets though, however, I don't have time to do all those sentences during the live. That's why I give them as a bonus. But the worksheets will have sentences that I deem are a little bit too complex for the live stream. Sometimes they would require teaching an additional form, or they would just be really long that I couldn't write it on the board. Or sometimes it's a bit repetitive from a previous sentence that I did. Like I might come up with 3 sentences that kind of sound a little bit similar. So I'll take 2 of them and put them in the worksheet, kind of like that. Yeah, you can use them together. 설마 그럴리가. But they have different nuances. 이걸 몰랐을 리가 있어요? 몰랐을 리가 있어요. No. Splurts, the reason you can't is because, you can, logically it'll make sense. They'll know what you're saying. Like you could jokingly say something like that. Like if they say, "Hey, 그럴 리가 있어?" Oh, 그럴 리가 있어. You could reply like that jokingly. But the reason is this is an idiomatic grammar form, which means it is what it is the best way to describe it. Typically with grammar forms, they're like very strict rules. Like you can do this, you can't do this, you can do this, like this is why, the exact reason, the exact literal meaning. But when you get into idiomatic expressions, while yes, technically this is the grammar, no, it's never actually used like that. We learned that for the liga and ligayo form. It's not li and liu, right? Why? If it's the subject marker, that should be optional. It's because it simply is an idiomatic expression at that point. So while it will make sense. If you use it, it'll sound awkward because it's so commonly said that way that it became an idiom. That if you don't say it, if you say an idiom wrong in English, it just sounds weird. Like instead of saying long time no see, what if you said no see long time? Everyone understands you, right? They know what you mean, but it sounds like it sounds awkward, even though it's the same thing. Funnily enough, I think long time no see is directly from the Chinese expression, which is long time no see. So we do have some Chinese in English as well. But anyway, yeah. What if we use the past tense with 없다 rather than the verb stem? Oh yeah, you can. There was no way. 몰랐을 리가 없었어. There's no way that they didn't know. There wasn't a way that they wouldn't know it. But I will say this, you don't need to do that. 몰랐을 리가 없어. Because the reason why, although it makes sense, the reason why is you are expressing right now, again, your opinion, your thought that something is, there's no way, there's no logic, there's no reason for that. And that opinion you have is an opinion right now about a past event. So you don't need to use the past tense. So, I mean, you could do that. It makes sense. If maybe there would be a situation where you want to say, like at that time, I had thought that there wasn't a way to do that. But do you really need to go that deep? Like, do you really need to say, like, if I had not had, then he had. In Korean, it kind of can sound, that sort of thing can really quickly happen when you overuse past tense. Whereas we don't really have that problem so much in English. In Korean, they don't typically want to use the past tense unless it's necessary to emphasize the past tense. So I would say don't, because if you want to say like there wasn't a way that they wouldn't know that, all you need, what you're expressing is, I don't think there was a way they knew that, in which case it just goes back to 없어요, not 없었어요. Oh, so yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Like, yes, it makes sense, but you wouldn't need to do that. Any news about Billy Gaming? Yeah, Cosma. So right now, the Billy Gaming happens when I have free time. And that was the peak point for that was after I had finished my beginner course. And I had such a good rhythm for that I could write an episode in one day, film multiple in a day, edit one per day, and then write one per day. So like I was finishing like 4 hours before the end of every evening because I was so good at doing that rhythm. Like it wasn't enough time to do 2 a day, but I could definitely do 1. Now what I've got going with is different. Since I'm not doing like a long course, but I have multiple different projects, I haven't had any like free evenings, at least not on a regular basis. I might get a free evening like once every couple weeks where I'll just have like 5 hours in the evening. Like I finished super early and I have lots of time. But otherwise, yeah, I just don't have enough time to do the gaming. I haven't gotten to play very many games. I did get to play one game. There was actually a point I could have done Go Billy Gaming last month because there was a game. I don't know if anyone is going to know what I'm talking about, but has anyone heard of the game Routine? I am one of the people who was waiting for it since 2013 when they first announced and then canceled and then announced again and then went silent and then announced again and then went silent for another 3 years and then finally announced that they're releasing it and then actually released it. That was right after I had finished editing a big group of podcast episodes and I actually had free time that week. I didn't spend a week playing it. I spent probably 6 hours total between like 4 days. So I'd play like 2 hours. That could have been something I could have probably played on Go Billy Gaming. I just wanted to relax and play it though, because I was so tired. So yeah, probably, I don't know. I won't say never though. I would like to get back to it, but I don't have any plans to do the gaming channel for a while. I meant keeping the verb stem in the present tense and only conjugate. No, you wouldn't do that either. But anyway, hopefully the reason though kind of answers why you wouldn't do that. I always lag while speaking because of my overthinking. Noah Deeps. So how much of the past tense like that can be used in Korean? Like if you try to use the past tense as much as grammatically possible in a sentence. Yeah. Oh, and your question, the game's called Routine. It was really fun. I liked it. I thought, was it worth a 12-year wait for a short game? Yeah, I really liked it. I was not disappointed that I got it. And it was pretty good price. I think I got it for like $20 because I already had one of the games that they had in a package or something like that. Totally happy with it. I'm just sad that it was so short. I would have liked to have a game that was longer than, 6 hours. I think it was like 7 hours because I solved all the puzzles without looking at any notes on the internet. I wanted to do it all by myself without touching the internet. And it took me about 7 hours. If I got some notes on the internet, I probably could have done it in like 4, but I wish it was longer. Yeah, we can do something like, think of something. Think of something simple. Okay. A really common example of what you're asking is like going past tense. Okay. So if you say you live in Korea, you can just do something like 한국에 or 한국에서, either one. 한국에서 살아요. So currently, 살아요. I live in Korea. But if you wanted to say I lived in Korea, okay, it's just the past tense, right? 살았어요. 한국에서 살았어요. So I lived in Korea. But you can also do the double past tense, which is not what you think it is unless you've learned this. Oops. Yeah. 살았었어요. I have to even say it out loud because it's weird when I'm writing it because all of these S letters. So 한국에서 살았었어요 might sound awkward if you don't know this form, but it's very natural. The double past tense does not mean I had lived in Korea or anything. This is basically like saying I used to. When you use past tense in Korean, when you use double past tense in Korean, the nuance is used to do something, as in I did it, but I no longer do. So it's not just saying it happened in the past, but it's saying it happened in the past and does not happen anymore. It's just clarifying, like, not only was it before, but it was a while ago and I don't anymore. So if you just came back from Korea into the US and the very next day, oh yeah, I used to, 한국에서 살았었어요. Like, it means I'm not living there anymore. But you could say, oh, I lived in Korea for 5 years. You can specify if you want, but if you just want to say it doesn't happen anymore, it was a thing I used to do, but don't anymore, then you can use the double past tense. You could go further. You could simply attach any number of ossoyo to the end of this. 한국에서 살았었어요. But it immediately, as soon as you go past one, it immediately sounds wrong and awkward. Everyone will understand what you mean. They know you're adding the past tense. Like if you say 살았었어요, they'll know you added the past tense, but they're going to laugh because there's no such thing. In English, we can do that. Like I had something like, there's that sentence like he had or had a great effect on the teacher. There's some sentence like that. Grammatically, it doesn't make any sense though in Korean because there's no reason to use the past tense, the double past tense, even when you're talking about a past tense situation and then the past tense in that, like at that time I had wanted to do something. You can do that in English. In Korean, you just say at that time I wanted to. You don't need to go into like the double past tense of a past tense situation. So it's pretty much you're limited to just two. But this one is very commonly used. So in fact, I would say 살았었어요 a lot when people ask me, oh, how come you speak Korean? 저 예전에 한국에서 살았었어요. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say 한국에서 살았어요 because 살았어요 just sounds like I lived in Korea. But the 살았었어요 kind of conveys like it was a long time. Like I was there. I was there 2,000 years ago or whatever. It has that kind of feeling of like an ongoing action. But beyond that, you're not going to really, I can't think of anything that would sound natural beyond that. Like 하다 would be 했어요. 했었어요 is fine. But like 했었었었었었었 just they'll understand what you're saying, but it's just humorous. It's wrong. Okay. How to self-study Korean. So self-studying Korean is about two things. You are giving yourself the grammar you need. So that can be a textbook. My books are fine for that. Any textbook, though, could do pretty much the same role. It's just something that tells you, learn this, here's how to do it. Learn this, now here's how to do it. The other thing that, though, you're going to need, no matter what textbook you're using, is going to be input for the language, which is listening practice. So if you're asking, how do you self-study Korean or self-study any language? The answer is you need to be consuming a lot of content in that target language. For Korean, I always recommend like podcasts, like Korean language podcasts. I have a podcast, but it's not necessarily like half of it is in Korean, the other half's in English. So, I mean, you could use that for some practice, but ultimately you're going to need practice that's just lots and lots of Korean listening. So there are other Korean podcasts that are just 100% in Korean. There are dozens of these on the internet nowadays. Variety shows, if you don't want to listen to podcasts, and then radio shows. So right now, the Naver audio clip is done. Naver audio clip was my favorite place to grab podcasts for Korean. They just shut down last month. But Patbang is a podcast app that's still active. Spotify has some, Apple iTunes has some, anywhere you can find them. Just I would do something like that. So self-study is, how do you self-study? Well, you get a book for your lessons, and then you start cramming as much listening practice as you can and listen to it. Like, don't use subtitles, just listen to it. You don't have to understand it, just listen to it. That's going to help. There's a $5 horror game on Steam that's a Korean language audio. Yeah, I had played a few Korean games on Steam, as well as a few horror games. I might have played the game you're talking about unless it was released recently. Would it be possible to have an infinite past tense? Yeah, I don't think they would give you a fun reaction. I think they'd like smile for a second and then they'd slowly kind of slowly move away. Like, who's this weirdo? Why is it I see some verbs conjugated in the middle of sentences, such as the seheter baza? Okay, Splurts, good question. It's actually very simple. So the so form, like hada becoming heso or 먹다, 먹어서, 가다, 가서, like that, has three main purposes. And this is not a lesson about those. You can watch my other live streams or lessons. It can be used to show the method that you're doing a verb, like how are you eating something, like 찍다 would be to dip. So like 찍어서 먹다 is eating something by dipping it in something. So you're not just eating it, but you're like eating it and dipping. Or it can be and then, like 요리해서 같이 먹었어요. Like I cooked something and then I ate it together. Like and then. Or it can also be used to mean because, like 배가 아파서, because my stomach hurts. 병원에 갔어요. So any of these meanings. This whole form can be used for that. Every single time this whole form is used, any situation, anywhere, any verb, any time, any place, is actually optional. This is kind of a secret though, because I mean, it's confusing to teach this form and then say, hey, by the way, what I just taught you, you don't need it. Actually, it is still there. Whether it's appearing or not, it's still doing the exact same thing. So anytime you see a verb that's conjugated, so it'll always be a conjugated verb before, right? Like hada would become hey, or it could be hayo, same thing. Hayo is the same as hey. Or like 먹다 would be 먹어. Pardon, this is messy. So you would see it conjugated. You're like, what's that? It's this. But 서 is optional. So if you stick on 서, there you go. Why would you remove it? Because adding 서 has a spoken feel to it. More of a conversational feel. I don't mean casual. I mean conversational feel, like you're just talking normally. The reason is it adds more clarification, like you're being more specific to something. So adding it just feels like it has a stronger one of these meanings. Removing it has more of a written feeling, which basically means fancy. Removing it has a bit more of like a fancy written feel to it, like you're speaking properly, like that sort of feeling. So it's common to see, like, in that case, you have a New Year's greeting without this whole form. Not business, like, let's see, official speeches, they might remove it. Not that you have to remove it. It doesn't make it like more formal removing it, but because they want that extra like fancy official feeling to it. But again, it's not like better, more formal, less formal. It's not a formal, informal situation. It's more of a just sounds like it's spoken, sounds a little bit more like it's written, but that's it. Again, it's not like formal, informal. You can still use this, or you can still remove it in, there are actually a lot of situations where it is removed normally as well for these. And again, you have to go into like my lessons for that, which is the reason why teachers won't usually tell you that this is optional, because there are specific places where it isn't and where it is required to remove it. But yeah, that's all it is. It's just the soul form that's hiding. It's shy. Make sure I don't remove Jeremy's origami. What about I used to do something habitually? So Tyler, you're talking about the ko or ko는 하다 form, which is exactly that. So the double past tense is used to say I used to do something, but I no longer do it anymore. But something happened, like I used to do something. There's the other form, ko는 or just kon. Most often it's kon, 하다. So you take a verb stem. So like 하다 is 하, 고는 or 하곤 하다. 하곤 했어요. This also means, it translates as I used to do something. But the implication to using that is when you use ko or ko는, it has more of a feeling of something was happening on a regular basis. So not just that I used to do it and I don't do it anymore, but like not when I was doing it, it was common. It was like a common thing. So you can say like 공부하고는 했어요, like I used to study, implying like, yeah, I used to do that all the time. So I think maybe used to all the time is a better translation for this. And then the regular double past tense would be more like just used to, as in I don't anymore, used to. So yeah, this just adds the meaning of it. It was habitual, like common. This one though is a little less common. I feel like if you want to say like, you know, I used to do a hobby or a sport or something, then this one's pretty common for that. But if you're talking about like, I used to live in Korea, like you're not habitually living in Korea, it just happened. Then I would use double past tense for things like regular actions, like I was living there, but then use this for like actions that can happen more than once. Okay, let's see what else did I miss. Mary Laura says, as a self-taught person, my experiences was by exposing myself to as much online Korean content as possible. Yes, very good. As much online Korean content as possible. And then again, just don't use subtitles. Korean subtitles are fine, but don't use any other language subtitles. Just try to listen to it. So don't play it in the background. Actually play it in the foreground. Listen to it. Yeah, cause and effect whole form can be omitted. That's true. I struggle to learn random vocabulary words. Yeah, reactio, it's going to be always hard to learn random vocabulary words that you're not frequently getting exposed to. If you learn the word like spaghetti, but you live in Ohio and no one makes spaghetti, you might even forget that word because you just don't use it very much. Like, you're only going to be able to memorize and feel confident with the words that are being frequently brought up to you and that you're frequently using yourself. Like, even if I were to learn, you know, hundreds of words for medical school, like medical term words and stuff, unless I actually become a doctor, do you think I'm going to still know those words a year from now? Like, no, I'm going to forget all that stuff. I don't even remember the medical words I learned by watching House. And there were only like a dozen. Intubate is the only one I could remember. But like, you know, you watch the show House and you learn like dozens of medical words, and then a year goes by and you forget everything. That's the same in Korean. Unless you are constantly doing exposure to the language and doing lots of listening practice, you're always going to have that problem. So basically, don't feel bad about it. You're not doing anything wrong. You just need more content. But forgetting it is totally normal. Even Koreans who move over to the US and then don't practice Korean on a regular basis severely lose their Korean abilities, like really quick. Like, someone can move to the US as a teenager, like they move over here at 15, 16 years old, and then by the time they're an adult, they can't speak Korean much anymore. Like, it happens pretty quick because they're not using it at all. They'll still understand it, right? But they're not gonna be able to produce it as much. So you really have to, it's like an escalator kind of slowly pushing you back. You always have to do some sort of movement, you know, do some sort of amount of immersion material, some sort of content exposure. Otherwise, you're going to be slowly kind of losing the stuff that you're not frequently exposed to. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to like lose how to count because that stuff's still really common, but it means that you're going to lose like the extra vocabulary words you're not really exposed to that much. Phillies Los Angeles Rams NFL American football team is going to beat the Chicago Beans. Oh, Bears. I thought you said Chicago Beans. I don't know what any of those words mean in English. NFL is the National Football League. I think I know that. American football team is going to beat the Chicago Bears. What about we're going to have a touchdown and throw the ball to the fourth inning and steal home, and it's going to be it's going to go into overtime, and I'm going to get a 3-pointer. Something like that. So that's why Hey Payo is the same as Heiso Payo. So it is literally the same. That's actually why I teach the form as Hey Poda is literally to do something and see how it goes. But yeah. That's part of the lesson that I use, because that's how you can distinguish it from like haryogo hada, like to try something, which is also to attempt to try something, but it's different in meaning. 나는 습관이 있었어요. Oh, so you wouldn't use as 나는 습관, but like 하는, like the verb. 먹는 습관, like that. Or 하다. So you would just use the present tense adjective form of an action verb. So in that case, like 하다 would be 하는, like that. And literally it's saying I had a habit of doing whatever. Le Seraphim Spaghetti. Yep. Unless you listen to this Le Seraphim song Spaghetti. Okay, exactly. Cincinnati, Ohio puts chili on spaghetti. Oh my God, that needs to be nuked from orbit. Oh wait, is it good? I should have asked that first. Heiso Payo. But the thing is, although you're saying Heiso Payo is literally the same, it is, but that's a case where they do not use it. If you want to learn about like where do you and where do you not use it, check out my the Korean sentence connectors course that I released last year. That has a lesson that goes all over all three uses of the sol form, as well as when it's optional and when it's not optional to use it. Or sorry, when you remove it and when you shouldn't remove it. Does Korea Boo mean weeb for Korean? Pretty much. What are the best free apps to use for learning Korean? Free apps for learning Korean. I just like Naver Dictionary. I don't know of any good free apps. I feel like nowadays in this world we're in, everyone and their brother wants to monetize everything. Like even apps that I used to like using for Korean, not for myself, but I would like recommend, went paid only too. Like, what was it? Lingo Deer, I think I got it when it was brand new. I still hear it's pretty good, but it used to be free. And then they slapped a price on it. I'm like, okay, like free. I don't know. It's hard to find stuff for free nowadays. If there is a really good free app, let me know. But I feel like there's no incentive for people to make free apps. If they do make them for free, like say HelloTalk or Tandem chatting apps, they'll make it paid by adding in tons and tons of advertisements until it like crashes your phone. Like HelloTalk now added in like full screen video ads last year. I'm like, I opened the app and it shows me like a giant ad for Raid Shadow Legends or something like that automatically plays a 10-second video. I can't even skip. And then the X button to stop it will open up the Google App Store instead of close the advertisement. So what I have to do is as soon as the app starts playing, I just have to force close the app and then reopen it and hope that I don't get another ad. So yeah, what's free? That's good. Naver Dictionary is free and good. No. The Sejong Institute had free apps as of the last time I made an app video several years ago. I haven't checked if they're still free, but they did have multiple apps. And because that's like, you know, Korean government organized Korean language sort of thing. I don't know if they still do, but those were free at the time. Baked beans on spaghetti in some places. Okay. Relent says, I watched the video on how to say I have to. Nice. Check out Skyline Chili, a restaurant chain in Cincinnati. Okay. Skyline Chili. I make chili. That's one of the things I like making. I have a copycat recipe for Wendy's chili. Wendy's chili is my personal favorite. I know I don't know if this sounds horrible to say for a chili connoisseur, but I love Wendy's chili. My only gripe is that Wendy's chili can be a little bit oily sometimes because they use the unsold beef patties that they're grilling as they move them down the aisle. And then at the very end, it goes into a bucket where they use for making chili. And I'll do everything the same, except I will get rid of some of the extra oil before I'll do that. So I can do the same thing as them, but that's my favorite kind of recipe. I don't know. I just really like that style of chili. Talk to Me in Korean has some free apps on the Play Store. Okay, that's cool. I haven't used their apps. I didn't know they had still had some free apps. That's cool. The Korean homemade courses memorize free for a few more months. Okay. Sejong is free. Okay, that's good to know. Then check those out. Sejong apps. Let me know how they are. I used them several years ago and I thought they were really cute and cool, but just very basic. So you wouldn't, I mean, no one's going to be learning Korean with an app at the end of the day. There is no such thing as an app that's going to teach you Korean. Neither is there such thing as a book that can teach you Korean, to be honest. Like, you're not going to learn Korean from one source is what I want to say. So like the best book in the world, let's say my books are the best in the world. No, they're not, but let's say my books are the best in the world. You're not going to learn Korean just by reading books. You need to learn Korean by actually speaking Korean and listening to a lot of Korean, right? The books are just there as like, they're like cookbooks, you know? You're learning how to be a chef and the books are like your tutor, the person that's helping you, giving you advice and recipes and all that stuff to learn. But ultimately, or like swimming, ultimately you just gotta start and do it as well. So yeah. I also used to attend the Sejong school in Poland. Oh, that's cool. I love Wendy's chili too. Wendy's chili is so good. Oh man. Got to get it with the onions and cheese too. I know they charge extra, but it's worth it. I haven't gotten Wendy's chili though in like 3 months. No, I haven't gotten it since last spring. It's been over a year since I've had Wendy's chili. That's the next thing I want to make though. I told my wife I'm making Wendy's chili again and she's like, not because she doesn't like it. She loves Wendy's chili too, but because when I say I'm making something, that means I'm making a lot of it. Like last month, I made clam chowder and I have a recipe for actual like New York style, like real clam chowder, or I guess I should say New England style. It uses uses half a gallon of cream. I used eight large cans of clams and all the juice. Instead of water, I used clam juice for the whole thing. 5 pounds of potatoes. Anyway, it made so many servings. It's this giant pot I have. And we are eating clam chowder. I think we still have a bowl left in the fridge from last month. We're eating clam chowder like 3 days in a row. So if I make chili, that's what it means. So she's like, because she's like, do I really want to have Wendy's chili in the fridge for a month? Like, it's good to have a nice big bowl, but then do you want another big bowl the next day? Maybe. But then the next day after that, maybe not. So I'm a little jealous you have a recipe. Bits, if you want, I can share you the recipe. I don't hide my recipes. What I do though is I alter every recipe because I've done cooking for so long. So I'm not bad at cooking, so I can tell like when I want to change stuff. But the recipe mostly is good. You can just use it as is. I just changed a few things to make it less oily from what the original one is. Not because the flavor of that is bad, but because you get some of it will separate after it cools down. And I don't like that. It's got to ferment. No, it doesn't have to ferment. Bits, yeah, if you message me on actually just ping me on my Discord channel and I'll send you a link to it that I use. I'm not protective of my recipes. I think everyone should be able to enjoy good food. So my best things are Wendy's chili, clam chowder, chicken pot pie. I have the world's best chicken pot pie recipe, as well as my personal favorite mac and cheese recipe, which is wonderful. It's someone's like grandmother from Louisiana's recipe or whatever. I've used it like a lot now. And then ribeye steak, which is my own recipe. But those are like my 5 things I do maybe like once a year for each one. As well as kimchi. But lately my wife does that. So I haven't gotten to make kimchi in a couple years now. Some free Anki decks have unnatural sentences. Yeah, because it depends how they made the deck. Like some things I've seen people do with like Korean vocabulary lists is they'll create an API. They'll create like a script. They'll program a little script that grabs the words from Naver, which is fine, grabs the definitions from Naver, again, fine. The hanja, good. You're starting off really good here. They'll put it into a list. They'll organize it by frequency because Naver will actually mark with a 3-star system which words are especially common. So if something has 1 star, it's a really common word. 2 is even more, and 3 is like crazy common words. They're all marked. So you can do that like automatically and get this cool list. Oh, but then the problem comes when they say, you know what? I'm going to program it so it grabs some of Naver's sentences because Naver has a lot of great example sentences completely free. The problem is none of those are filtered. I don't mean in a like language wise. I mean, they are from a variety of sources. Sometimes a lot of times those sentences come from grammar books or poems. And that is awkward, like really awkward stuff. Like they'll use words that you would never use in speech, like 그, 그녀, 당신, that sort of stuff. Cause they just grab it from wherever they have it. Like whatever books they originally came from. It might've come from, they might've grabbed they purchased this dictionary's database and grab all their sentences. And maybe that was like a Korean learning dictionary for Spanish speakers or something like that. So they grab all the Spanish sentences, translation from the Korean, they'll grab all the Korean sentences, and it might be like a really literal translation of something in Korean from Spanish that no longer sounds natural in Korean anymore because it was used for teaching a concept. It wasn't supposed to be like a natural sentence. So you get that stuff mixed in with like K-pop sentences from like V-Lives, right? Like they said a random sentence and it has a wrong translation, and you get that too because it's just grabbing whatever someone else translate, like a fan translation. And unless you go through those one at a time and really think about it, not just does this sentence make sense, but is this sentence actually something that someone would say? Unless you do that, you're not going to have a very good list at the end of the day. So it's either have a list with only the words and definitions, which is useless. Honestly, no one needs a list, or a list with all the words and definitions and a bunch of awkward sentences. Or if you want best of both worlds, you can get a list with the words and the definitions and filtered, native checked sentences, and they're going to charge you for it. It's going to be in a book that's going to be like 600 of the most common Korean words or something. There'll be some book, and that'll be what you get, which is the best of both worlds, but you're going to have to pay for it. Because no one wants to do that work and go through all the sentences. And I mean, they're going to rewrite their own sentences. They're not just going to copy them. But no one wants to write 600 sentences and check them. Or actually, it would be more than that. They would do more than one sentence for each word because a lot of words have multiple meanings. Anyway, no one's going to want to do that kind of work for free. So, welcome, new member, Young Boy Kong. Tyler says, put your recipe behind a paywall. It's not even my recipe. I have my own recipes too, but the recipes I use, I'm not going to paywall the stuff that I use when I didn't even make the recipe. One of it is for when I make chicken pot pie, the crust recipe I use is someone's grandmother's recipe from the 1800s. And it uses so much butter it's over a whole stick of butter just in the crust alone. And then the recipe for the chicken pot pie, the ingredients also use another whole stick of butter. So if you want to know why those traditional recipes taste so good, it's a lot of butter. But it is really good. Did you try to make turkey pot pie? I did not, because the time I made chicken pot pie ended up being before Thanksgiving. So I didn't want to make another one after Thanksgiving. But it is still on my mental list of things I'd like to try, because I mean, I'm fine with chicken pot pie. I think turkey pot pie would also be really good, especially if you do it with white meat anyway. Then it'll just be like a richer version of chicken pot pie, I guess. Billy uses Korean to make American. I'll tell you something funny. Maybe it's not funny. I got casted This was back around the time that I first started my YouTube channel, maybe a couple years after. I got called in to, was it KBS? I can't remember the station. It was one of the major Korean television stations in Los Angeles. It was their American branch of a major Korean station. And they were casting me because they were trying to find a host for a new show, a cooking show. I haven't shared this story before. And they obviously they wanted to do a cooking show, but they didn't have the concept ready. They're just like, we need a host. And they were talking with me like, hey, what do you have? Would you be interested in hosting? And I'm like, pay me money, host a Korean cooking show? Yes, I'll do it. So my idea I pitched to them was, how about a show where I make Korean food with American ingredients, because it's kind of hard to get some Korean ingredients unless you go to a Korean market, unless you live near a Korean market. A lot of people don't. So how can you make tasty recipes that are good for Korean people too, but are made in like an American style? So I think one of the things I suggested was, I think I remember. One of them was samgyetang. So samgyetang is like, it's made with like a young chicken, and then they like steam it, and then it's like they put sticky rice in it and a bunch of herbs and stuff like that, and you kind of eat it like a soup. It's like chicken noodle soup essentially. And I was thinking about doing that with turkey, and I was also suggesting making kimchi with, I had a couple like recipe ideas that would be something that would like taste good, but they would be like an American style of it. So that was my pitch to them, and they liked the pitch. They ended up ghosting me though, because they didn't get the funding for the show. They were going to like pitch it to a company, like a supermarket company, to get funding. And it would be as a sponsorship for the supermarket to like promote their supermarket opening. And they were going to have me get paid through that. Like the show was getting funded by the store, and we'd use ingredients that the store sold, like that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah, I just remembered, I'll never live it down, getting ghosted by a major Korean company. They were like begging me to do it. Like, please. And like, I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do it. Cause I didn't know, I never hosted before, but they're like, oh, we'll support it. We'll help you, get the scripts and everything. I'm like, cool. Okay. But then ghost, silence, radio silence, never a hold on, we're still figuring it out or anything. I found out only later, like years later, probably a couple years later, like, oh, they didn't get funding for it. But I'm like, you could have texted, you could have just said, hey, we don't know when this is going to happen. So yeah. We had some fun ideas though. I can't remember there was one big one that we had that we started with, that I think would have been kind of fun. And it would just be like making the Korean recipe with a Korean chef. It wasn't just me. It wouldn't just be me as the host. It was me hosting, and guest hosting was a Korean chef that would help kind of oversee everything. And it was like, it would present the original Korean recipe and contrast it with the Americanized, not really Americanized recipe, but like the American ingredients making of a Korean recipe, like a fusion version of Korean food. Anyway, so that was my pitch. That was my idea for the show, but it didn't end up working out. Wasn't a Southern grandma then. It would have been lard. That's true. Okay, I'll give you that. It's true. It would have been lard, but not like I can't buy lard. They sell it everywhere. You can buy a big block of it at Walmart. You can make it. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah. But I think that lard is better for frying stuff. For cooking, for recipes, I feel like it still would have been butter for the actual, like the ingredient going in the recipe. But like when you fry stuff, yeah, that's like lard is the best for that. I just haven't used it because, I mean, I heard it's not very healthy, but maybe I heard wrong. Maybe it actually is. Okay. Is Rosetta Stone worth the price? I have not heard anything about it. That's good. That's all I'm going to say. I've not heard anything good. Do chef and my fridge in the US? Yeah. 냉장고를 부탁해. 냉부. Chef and my fridge in the US would actually be kind of fun. I'll do it. Contact me. I will help be one of your hosts. I can't host the whole thing, but get a Korean. Get me Yoo Jae-seok. I'll be with Yoo Jae-seok. Me and him are going to host. We're going to host the US version of Chef and My Fridge. I didn't even know the English title. Chef and My Fridge in the US. Like ketchup in tteokbokki. Yes, that's the secret. You can't tell people, you can't just go around telling people that, Keith. Everyone's going to start doing it, and then the secret's going to be gone. But yeah, the secret for why does tteokbokki in Korea taste so much better than when I make it at my house? The reason is because one of the main ingredients they add in Korea that they do it when you're not looking is they'll add ketchup. Not because the ketchup flavor is so good, but because the normal recipe uses tomato sauce and sugar and salt anyway. So it has those three ingredients. So it's a quick way to add a bit of sweetness and texture. It also keeps it thick because you don't want to have like runny tteokbokki when you're serving it. But actually the real secret is before they add ketchup or any of that. The real secret to making good tasting 국물, soup. 국물 is like not just soup, but it's kind of like the water, the liquid broth. Yeah, broth is probably a better translation. Broth for making tteokbokki or broth for making like ramen or udon or anything like that. The secret is making good 국물 first for tteokbokki, and that starts by boiling the roots, the end pieces of green onions. So you know that white part that has those weird roots in it that you chop off and throw away? Don't throw it away. Put those in the freezer. I mean, rinse them off first. Put them in a container in the freezer and keep those because you use them all the time for cooking, for making broth. So you put some pa and you put some dried anchovies. 멸치. You put some dried anchovies and you put some green onions, the white root part, into water and you boil them until all the flavor's out of them. Maybe like, I don't know, 5 minutes, not too long. And then throw this away because it's nasty at that point. It's like the anchovies become all mushy and everything, and the green onions like falling apart and like feels like gelatin or something. Throw these away, but that is the secret. Try it. If you want to have something really good, if you want to try like the flavor of Korea and you don't want to cook, get a cup of water, boil a cup of water in a pot, add some dried anchovies, add a couple of those things of the green onions, boil it, throw it out, and just straight up drink that water. It's good. I mean, you probably want to add a little bit of salt to it. Typically, you'd add a little bit of salt or pepper, depending on what you're doing. But just that is going to make a really nice broth. And you're going to be like, oh, Billy, oh my God, you're right. That is really good. That's the secret. So that's the biggest secret. The second biggest secret is ketchup. But it's not only ketchup. They don't only make it with ketchup. They make it with the regular ingredients first. And ketchup is kind of like a booster that they add. I do that because I'll make tteokbokki sometimes too, or I'll make like any kind of like soup or whatever, like noodles. And that's how you always start it. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Wait a second. Wait a second. Speak of the devil. Hanu, someone was mentioning Hanu like a few minutes ago. They said Talk to Me in Korean has some apps. I didn't know you guys have apps. I knew you had an app. You have apps? Do you want to advertise for a second? Sorry for going live at the same time with you a few times last year by mistake. You're not sorry. It was intentional, wasn't it? You're trying to crush my viewership by streaming at the same time as me, aren't you? You're like, that damn Billy just won't quit. I know. I'm going to go live at the same time as him, and then all the viewers will leave and come to me. I know you're thinking about that, but you say, that wasn't intentional, so now I do the classes a day before you. Read out loud. Billy is the best. He is the most handsome teacher in the world. Yeah, I think Hanu was actually listening the whole time, and he's like, I gotta say something. He's like, I gotta say something. I'm just warming up to the viewers one day before so they can go to yours. Oh. Okay, that's the right answer. That's the right thing to say. Thank you. I'm gonna have to say, Hanu. So I actually was running a. You know what? I'm gonna write your name in Korean. I think this is how we do it. We got to write everyone's name on the board, but I don't get Korean donations. There we go. Okay, 20. Okay, hopefully I did that correctly. I've been learning Korean for a long time, but sometimes I'm a little bit rusty. We actually had a funding goal to buy me a new mouse, which we fortunately hit. So I'm gonna be replacing. We actually hit the goal before I started the class today. My $5 Amazon Basics mouse I got from a Christmas present from my best friend, Rob. I'm sorry, Rob, but it's already broken. It's trash. It's going in the trash can. But we're going to be replacing it. And my 10-year-old keyboard, which is screaming to... This actually wants me to throw it away. We're also going to be replacing this. So thank you, Hanu, as well as to Lexica, Ad Astra, Mike, and Kai for allowing me to upgrade my 10-year-old equipment. Let's see. I literally just came in here. I had no idea we were mentioning. We were saying a lot about you. Like the last hour, we were just talking about you. So my only guess is that, as they say in Korean, your ear was itchy, and you just had to come in here. No, some people were talking about what apps are there for Korean, and people were mentioning the Sejong apps, which are the only ones that I've used. And then someone mentioned talk to me in Korean apps, and I'm like, talk to me in Korean as apps, and that's pretty much all that we got to. We weren't really talking about anything else. And then what else did we mention? Oh yeah, we were also mentioning. Someone mentioned, or I mentioned Lingodeer, which I used to use back when it was free, and then I don't know what else there is for apps. I haven't made a video about apps though in like a long time. I think the last time I did a video about apps was like back in 2020 or 2021 or something like that at the latest. So everything probably has changed by now. Please write it in Hanja. Oh God, is that actually? Oh yeah, that is. Oh okay. Okay, let me try this again. I got a challenge. I got a challenge to write Hanu's name in Hanja. I never actually knew his name in Hanja. Okay, let's see. I can't even read it. I think I know which one that is. I think it's this one. I think that's the one. Yeah. Then let's see. Oh, is that 2 or 3 for the bottom part? It looks like it's a 2. Right? Is that the one, or is it the one that only has 2? I think that's the one. I think it's the one right here, but I can barely see it. You can't really see on my tablet, but it's like, it's tiny on here. It's all smushed. Tell me that's correct. Even if it's wrong, just say, no, Billy, you're actually right. That's the actual one. Just tell me that, even if it's wrong. And then the oo is a little bit simpler. Let's see. Oh, no, never mind. That's not how the stroke order goes. This one doesn't go through like that. It goes all the way down. Okay. That, and then like that, right? Like that, right? Right? That's how it is, right? I got it, right? Did I get it right? The keyboard has a wire attached to it. Yeah. So fancy. Look, well, I'm not at a fancy company like you, okay? I don't have a wireless keyboard. I just got a wireless mouse for the first time 3 months ago, and it's incredible. I was like, this is the future. I'm truly living in the future. That my $5 mouse I've been using is wireless, but it also broke in just like 3 months of using it. So that's why I'm going to get a new one. But yeah, my keyboard, I typed like all my books on this keyboard, and it's like screaming at me to throw it away because I can't even push the delete key. It'll like lock up sometimes. It won't press. I'll try to switch to Korean and it'll just like glitch. But yeah, I'll get a new one. Fortunately, keyboards are cheap, but I had a fun for the mouse. So, well, yeah, we'll put Hanu here. I think that's the right way to write it. Okay, correct. Thank you. Thank you for saying it's correct. actually, I don't know if I wrote this because the problem with the fonts is sometimes they get squished. So it looks like there's 2 lines here, but it could be the one with 1. But I think it's the 2 because that's the one for to see, like to. No, is this the one for like realizing, like appearing? Is that the hyun, or am I thinking of the wrong one? And I don't know this one. I don't know what that means. I think it means like the best teacher hyun, like 가장 좋은 hyun, and then like 선생님 우. I think that's what it is. If I got that right. And then I know your last name. It's that, right? Son, right? That's the last name, right? Gotta erase this before someone actually writes it down. Thinks I'm serious. Okay, cool. Yeah, we got it. We got it. Doxed. Yeah, now it's the reason I wanted Hanu to write his name in Hanja was so that I can steal all of his money from his bank account. Because now I have his full name, and that's all we need. That's all you need at the bank to take out a loan in someone's name. You just need to write their name in Hanja, because no one can do it. The only person who can do it is yourself. So it's kind of like, your security key. Like when you log into the bank, you have to text it your name in Hanja. So now I know his name. That's like everything. Billy, one of these days you'll have to make a chat visit to Hanu's live class. What? It's not Sun. It's Sun. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to be stupid and make a bad joke, and it was like a bad joke of a bad joke. Oh, you are Sun, like. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the distraction. You're not sorry, but I appreciate dropping by. Interesting. I do like seeing a wealthy bug. It's not bug. This part alone is bug, but that's only the radical version. That has nothing to do with what the character means. The way that Chinese characters were developed, well, not all, but most of the ones that have multiple radicals were just, let's make something that has this sound. We'll use a radical just to create the sound that we want. And if we get lucky, we can make something that has a meaning that we want too. So sometimes they would do a character is composed of a radical that gives it its sound. Like we want it to have this sound. So we'll use this radical, like that has a oo sound. But the meaning we want is something that has this meaning. So they'll put the meaning character next to it. That way it's kind of easier to read. You can kind of see like, oh, that must be read like this because it has this radical. But it doesn't have anything to do with the meaning necessarily. That's like the bulk of Hanja would be for. Well, let me erase. Grace has got his name's like giant on my board. So a lot of times when you're learning Hanja is you'll learn the character and you'll be like, how come it means that? That's so weird. And it's not supposed to make any sense. It was just the dude who made it, whoever would have made it. I actually don't know who was making a lot of these characters at the time. It would have been some Chinese dude, right? It was just them trying to find a way to write a sound with a character that kind of looked like what they wanted to represent for the bulk of them. Now, a lot of the radicals, the simple ones would actually be based on their like pictographs, like, the one for like water was meant to represent flowing water and originally would look something like this, like flowing water. And then they simplify it to this, but it also gets simplified to just this when it's written as a radical. Like the radicals would have original meanings. Like this is supposed to look like water and it means water and it represents water. But then when they stick these onto other characters, a lot of times it's only meant to give it a sound. In some cases, it would be used for the meaning too. But anyway. So just basically, if you see a character, don't think that the character has to have a special, like, hidden meaning to it. It could have just been one of those characters that was smashed together. Yeah, the class ended. I mean, not that I taught anything today anyway, but the class ended at about an hour ago. And we've just been talking about food. and putting 2 sticks of butter in chicken pot pie and wanting to make Wendy's chili and, you know, just important stuff like that. I also talked about getting scouted, or not scouted, getting, what's the word? They were going to hire me to produce a Korean TV show a long time ago, and then I got ghosted by them. Not talk to me in Korean. You guys never hired me to produce a Korean TV show. But this company is like a big Korean company. I can't remember which TV station it was. They're going to hire me to be the host of a Korean cooking show in English for an American audience, along with a popular Korean chef at the time. But then the show, they didn't get their funding, so then they just ghosted me, and they ghosted the other chef as well. I learned that liga pop. Oh, opso, small typo. I learned that it has to do with logic, and you can't do infinite past tense or people will run away. Yes, that's really all I'm trying to teach, is just the important stuff. Like if you try to say like 했어요, you're good. If you say 했었어요, you're good. But as soon as you start going like 했었었었었었었, the Korean person's gone. They don't want to be any part of it. Culinary wars between Billy and Hanu. I don't know if Hanu cooks. I would assume he does. Right? The thing is, a lot of Koreans I know can't cook. Like, I think it's a lot of them can, but I feel like if you compare can you cook? If you were to ask the question, can you cook something right now? I feel like most people in California would say yes. I might be wrong about this because I can't, the US is not a monolith. Korea is not a monolith. Not everyone has the same opinions. But I feel like if you ask the average person on the street in the US, they're going to say they can cook a little bit besides just boiling water. I think cooking is kind of a basic thing a lot of people can do. Maybe it's just the Koreans that I've met, but I feel like most of them, not all, again, not like overwhelming majority or anything, but I feel like more than 50% have told me that they can't cook anything. So I don't know if that's just a my experience thing or if that's a Korean, it's less common to do lots of cooking. There are some things like that though, like different things that we would consider like basic skills that aren't necessarily, or vice versa, things that like every Korean knows that like no American knows. Things like if you eat one of my favorites is if you eat potatoes, when potatoes get old, they grow those green sprouts. I didn't know this, but every Korean person in the world in Korea knows this, that the sprouts are toxic and you can get really sick if you eat that. I didn't know that. I thought they just tasted bad or something, but apparently it actually grows toxin. So it's like, you can't eat it. It really hurts you. So, but that's a common knowledge in Korea, but not in the US. At least I never heard that. I just thought, oh, when it's growing that, it's just bad, throw it away. Okay. Oh, you did write the letters. I missed them. Okay. Giving, wise, and king's name. Oh. Ooh. So it's like Hyunmyeong, like, so that wise. Okay. Sorry. I don't know I'd say I don't know a majority of the characters that are used in names. Not that they use like necessarily special characters all the time. Some are, but I just don't know too many of the ones that people pick for names. I should know Hyun though, because that's fairly common. So wise and giving and a king. I think it's a good name. Billy, good job at finishing at 3 p.m. Yeah. Have you tried watching any of the Korean cooking variety shows? I did watch the 냉장고를 부탁해. I think that's what it's called. I watch that when I go on the plane because it's like one of the only 2 options that Air Premia offers. They have like 2 shows and they'll have like 1 episode of each show. But that's one of the shows they always have. So I've watched it. It's frustrating though, watching it sometimes for me, because the guests bug me. Okay. I like the chefs. I think the chefs will do like an awesome job. Even when they fail, they'll make like this really interesting meal out of the, whatever ingredients that the celebrity has, which will just be like some K-pop celebrity or something usually, or some actress. And then the person who picks the winner, it's always, they just pick whichever one looks like it has more salt in it, honestly. Like whichever one I think is sweeter or has more salt, that's the one that wins. Like every time. Because obviously, if you want, like, if you have to pick what's better, this, 5-star Michelin chef recipe or this 5-star Michelin chef recipe, like they're both going to be fantastic. How do you pick? Well, you're going to pick, this one because it has more salt in it, or this one because it has, it looks more classic. Like this one's pasta versus this more experimental. So I kind of feel like the ones I think should win, the ones that are like more creative, just don't win. And that makes it frustrating for me watching the show. But I still watch it when I'm on the airplane. Let's host a cooking class together in Korea and make ramen. Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Take care. Feel free to crash any class you would like. Okay, is he gone? Is he gone, everyone? I think he's gone. I think he's gone. Okay, now we can go back to talking about him again, just like we were for 2 hours before he came in here. Okay. Yes, my K-pop connection stories, which is very, very few. Although I do know. Actually, I won't say. Can I ask something? I was watching Mr. Gwen. I'm not sure too much about Korean shows. I'm sorry. And the alphabet had a lot of difference. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the original alphabet. So I don't know what show you mean. Are you talking about the one where like the girl goes back in the student goes back in time and meets the king? Is that the one you're talking about? Or is this a different one? But the original Korean alphabet is not what you're learning today. It is the today version, which is missing some of the older letters. There used to be a few extra letters in the alphabet. There are also some dots you would see on the letters, which would signify like tones at the time. You don't have to worry about it. Just know that it's the older style of writing. You don't need to read it though today. And I don't believe that Koreans can read that today. Excuse me, like hiccuping while I'm talking. If you were to show a Korean person the Hunminjeongum, which is the original document that they wrote, that the king wrote when he was announcing the creation of Hangul. It's this old document. You can search it and find it real easy. Hunminjeongum. Hunminjeongum is that's originally what Hangul was called. And then I don't think if you were to show that to any Korean, I think 10 out of 10 people wouldn't be able to read it. Unless they studied specifically for it, then you can read it. But because, not just because of the hanja in it, because of the older style Korean, but because of the way the letters were written was quite different. They had extra letters. They would spell things a little differently. You can get part of it though. You can understand partially at least, but I think it's a bit complicated. So if you see older Korean, don't really worry. It's not like you're not really missing out on too much. As far as like, it's not missing out on something that the average Korean can do. It's like they can't really do it either unless they studied it. But it depends. Some of the older stuff you can kind of guess. Like, oh, I think that kind of sounds like this. Mr. Queen. Okay. He's a male chef who goes back in time and wakes up as a queen. That sounds like an episode of Quantum Leap. Does he look in the mirror and be like, oh boy, or whatever? I knew there were some characters from Hangul that aren't used anymore. Yeah, common people, proper sound. That's right. It was proper sounds for the common folk, basically. See, we gotta get Hanu in here more. It was really fun. Someone was asking him if he played StarCraft or Dota or League of Legends. The handwriting in Hanja. Oh no, yeah, Keith, I didn't want to do that handwriting in Hanja. That would look horrible. Yeah, I asked okay. Definitely had an oh boy moment or two. Oh man, that was a good show. I feel like that was, at the time that was airing, that was like the best show on TV, I think. Like just for writing, like creativity, like every episode And the thing is, like, sometimes with TV shows today, you'll watch like a whole episode and you're like, what was that? Like, nothing happened. Like, they progressed the show like one step. But like Quantum Leap, every episode, except for like they had a couple special ones that would go 2 episodes, every episode was an entire self-contained story with a beginning and a middle and an ending, and then the teaser for the next one, which was great. Like, you watch one episode, you get the whole thing. It's like this whole person's life, and then you go to the next one. And they made a sequel, in case anyone was a fan of the original and didn't see the sequel, that had 2 seasons that was actually really good. But it got canceled, and they weren't able to convince Scott Bakula to come back for it, because I think they pitched it to him in the wrong way and then never went back and re-pitched it to him when they rewrote it, because in its current form it actually would fit with him, but I guess in the original idea he didn't, which wouldn't really match with him, he didn't want to do it. But anyway, it's 2 seasons, it's really good. Unfortunately, we'll never get a 3rd or 4th season or anything. We'll never find out what the ending is, but I liked it. So if you're curious, has nothing to do with the original show at all, but it was good. We need Billy movie night, combining teaching of your affinity for movies. We could do a party on the Rave app. It was so good. Oh, Bits, you saw it? Okay. Yeah, I liked it. My mom actually recommended it to me because she was also a fan of the original Quantum Leap, and I heard they were releasing it, but my initial reaction was like, can't remake that show. Like, you're not going to do it. Because the thing about Quantum Leap is that they weren't afraid to tackle social issues. Like, you could say it's like, oh, politically correct or whatever, but they weren't afraid to go there, is what I mean. They would handle like all these, like, you know, political figures and like historical figures. Like, they do all this stuff that you feel like they wouldn't really want to do that today. But the new show's like, nope, we're doing it too. I saw, oh, it's really cool. I liked it. Jack Greenwood said, can you explain the receiving and giving with 2 hand rule? It's not only giving and receiving, but it's also when you shake someone's hand. So anything done with 2 hands is just considered more polite. It's kind of like if you're handing someone by throwing it to them versus handing it to them. That's kind of the equivalent in Korea. Like, you know, giving something with 1 hand is kind of like, yeah, here you go, whatever, no biggie. Like, you do it to your friend. But if you want to be extra respectful to someone who's not like your close friend, I mean, don't do it to your close friends unless you're joking. But yeah, 2 hands is much better for giving your business card. You always do that with 2 hands. Oh yeah, 제 명함입니다. Like that, you give them your card. You do a little bow. Presents as well, and then shaking hands too. You can shake hands with 1 hand. It's not rude. But if you put your arm on your actually it's here. You put your arm on your elbow and you shake hands. It's like extra polite. It's like you really care. Like you're dropping everything and you're putting all your attention into shaking their hand. It's kind of what it feels like. You're giving them your full attention. You could also do 2 hands. 2 hands to shake their 1 hand is like, oh my goodness. That would be like, oh, I can't believe it. And like if you meet your favorite celebrity, you know, you can, oh, like this 2 hand. It just shows more respect. But it's not like an awkward thing. It doesn't just have like a formal feeling. It just has a much more respectful, caring feeling to it. Piggy Suey. Wait, that sounds familiar. What is that? Why does this sound familiar? There's a Quantum Leap on Netflix. I think that's what I think that's what I'm talking about, is the newer season. Yeah, I liked it. And the characters were really good. Obviously everyone has the same favorite character. If you've seen the show, you know who I'm talking about. Definitely the best character in the whole show. But yeah, the leads were great. The stories were like fun, and they kind of inherited the same type of feeling that the original one did. Although I really think they could have brought back Scott Bakula easily. They had so many like ways they can bring it back without messing up his storyline. They could keep his storyline, just they still had a way that they could have brought him back. I could talk about that another day. What if it's a close friend? Oh yeah, Peggy Sue and Quantum Leap, old one. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't seen the old one since I was probably a teenager. I watched all of them on TV. They used to air, I think, on the Sci-Fi Channel. What if it's a close friend that's much older than you? Well, the thing is, if it's a close friend, you don't need to show a lot of extra respect. But friends will also do this jokingly too. Like, just the same way you might say, oh, goodness, thank you so much. Like, You know, if your friend buys you a hamburger, that sort of thing, you can jokingly do that too to your friends. But you wouldn't need to do like this extra respectful thing, like to close friends, just because you don't need to show a lot of extra respect to close friends. And the closer you are, the less extra respect you have to show them. It'll kind of go down to like, if you're friends with someone, even if they're older than you, you'll default be generally respectful by attaching the yo form, but you might also mix it. You might do what's called 반존대 or 반존말, depending. 반존대, I believe, is what they use, which is like half polite speech, where you'll kind of mix casual and polite, just to show like, I'm not completely casual, but we're friends, but I'm still showing you respect at times. But yeah, you wouldn't need to do two-handed if you're close friends with someone. The origin of the song was how he sang to his pig. Ah, I partially remember it. I'd have to see that episode again. I'm trying to think, what was my favorite episode? The first one that actually comes to mind was the Elvis one, even though I think that might have been like his first episode. I think that might have been like episode number 1 or something. Yeah, it's just, anyway, it was good. If you haven't seen the new series, watch it. It's I give it a stamp of approval. Mikey says, gotta sing for 4 hours to no crowd in Nashville as it's 30 degrees and slow season later. Nice. We're gonna stop here too. I've been going rambling now for an hour 20 minutes to 50 of you. Really appreciate it. I do want to say one more time, thank you to everyone who very quickly helped me to get I'll order it later this week, a mouse and a keyboard as well, because those are two things I definitely needed, and I needed it right now. So thank you for shumming. I was trying to say showing up and coming. It came out as shumming. Thank you for coming to the lesson today, and I will see you again next week. I don't know what the topic will be yet. There's going to be a vote tomorrow, so make sure to vote on that. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.